If you want to know what the Biden administration is really thinking, listen to the guy with the comb-over in the anchor chair at NBC. Here's his exchange with Kamala Harris, the sitting vice president, yesterday.
Not quite 20 years after 9/11, the Capitol came under attack from domestic terrorists. I began by asking the vice president about how, over 2 decades, our focus has had to shift from foreign terror to the threat from within.
I think it is very dangerous, and I think it is very harmful, and it makes us weaker. So you look at everything from the fact that there are 11 people right now running for Secretary of State, the keepers of the integrity of the voting system of their state, who are election deniers. You've got...
And what's that sending? What message does that send to the world?
Well, you couple that with people who hold some of the highest elected offices in our country who refuse to condemn an insurrection on January 6th.
Want to get it off your chest? You're in the right place. They accuse this show of being run by boobs. Well, let me tell you something about us boobs. We're real and we're spectacular. Want politics and fun, sprinkled with a lot of laughs? Heard in every state in the Union and 770 cities around the world. We just finished our 13th year of broadcast excellence. Now in our 14th year, the Dave Weinbaum Show is streaming live all over the world. Somehow we've been led to believe that the non-insurrection on 1/6 is the same as the murders of 3,000 plus Americans by Al-Qaeda within hours of those planes coming into contact with the Twin Towers. By far the worst attack on America. This is incomparable to anything that's happened to us. From Trump supporters in particular and conservatives in general painted as semi-Nazis who are committing mass terror because some of them, including me, object to the veracity of the 2020 election. Kamala Harris and many other Dems insisted that the 2016 election of Trump and other Republicans was a stolen election. Because of what? Russia, Russia, Russia. As we're finding out today, or yesterday, that was bought and paid for by Igor DeSanto's Steele dossier by the FBI and the Clintons. Stacey Abrams down there in Georgia still thinks she is the governor of Georgia and was duly elected in 2016. She hasn't changed in 6 years. There are threats out to all the Democrats, from the Democrats, the DOJ, the FBI, the Intel, social media, mainstream media, who conspired to cheat the 2020 election. Now that's treason, proven and admitted by the New York Times and Washington Post after the New York Times, and the Washington Post, after the New York Post, Hunter Biden's laptop story was stashed away by Bill Barr's FBI, calling that a Russian hoax. To me, this stinks of subversion, swamp animals trying to maintain their treason as unelected bureaucrats. Why do they do this? Because they have blackmailed and intimidated both sides of the aisle to shut up and do their bidding. Because they're smarter than us stupid, Walmart-smelling, gun-toting voters in America. Or am I wrong? Am I wrong? All right, play that last clip.
You have not committed a crime of any kind. I don't think you've ever been accused of a crime. You weren't even at the Capitol on January 6th. I don't think you're even in Washington. Tell us how you felt when Joe Biden's FBI showed up with guns at your home the morning after his speech.
I was terrified, and I'll be honest with you, when my daughter woke me up telling me there were 3 armed FBI officers at my door, I thought she was joking, and I immediately tried to throw clothes on. I called my husband. I was crying. My knees were shaking, and even though I knew I'd done nothing wrong, after seeing Joe Biden's speech the night before, I thought, oh my God, this is political, and I was frightened. I truly thought, they can take me out of here in handcuffs. And I thought, I'm in my bedroom. I thought, am I not coming home? So I went outside and I said, gentlemen, you're scaring me. And they proceeded to tell me that they were given an anonymous tip that I was at the Capitol on January 6th.
They knew you weren't because they had facial recognition software, and there's no evidence, and it's almost 2 years ago. Do you know who this anonymous tip, this snitch who turned you into federal law enforcement for supporting Trump on Facebook might be?
No, I know nothing. And I invited them into my home so I could look at my phone and my calendar. And I have subsequently called the FBI office in Newark to just document or know for sure that it really was FBI agents at my home. And it was. And they said it was an anonymous tip, but they won't tell me anything else.
So this is scary stuff, because now that tells us that, like the Soviet Union, they can send the FBI out to any of us on any pretense at all. Doesn't have to be real. It can be somebody told us this about you, therefore we need to come and search your home, take your phone, like they did with Mike Lindell, and they're doing this actively now. This woman is not isolated. There's all sorts of Trump personnel, including the president himself, that is being subjected to this anti-constitutional Russia, Chinese Communist Party type of action against them. There's still people in jail over the insurrection who haven't been charged with anything but trespassing. And a lot of these people were let in to the Capitol like it was a tour by who? The Capitol Police. The Capitol Police. Not one cop was killed that day. Not one cop was shot. The only person that was killed was Ashley Babbitt, and she was a Air Force veteran who happened to be a Trump supporter, and she was murdered by Mike Byrd, chief of the Capitol Police. Now, if that was an insurrection, it was the only insurrection in history that was unarmed, because the FBI testified. The FBI, my wife does this to me all the time. In bed, she plays stuff, and I wake up and I say, what is it? Just go to sleep. Shut up. Anyways.
That's not right.
I know it's not right. Why do you do this to me all the time? Every week we do this. We go through this.
No, I've been good for a long time.
Oh, my gosh. All right. So anyways, now I'm losing my train of thought. You don't do this to old people like that. Yes, what was I saying? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
I was
talking about Byrd.
Yeah,
Michael LeRoy Byrd.
Yeah. And so this was the first insurrection in history that didn't have a firearm there, because the FBI testified to that fact. They testified that there was no arms found on anyone that day other than the police. All right? And that the only people that died, the police, one policeman died the next day. Well, he had a couple of strokes. And you can try to tie that to what the events of 1/6, but that gets into another ball game. All right, I've got to announce that I've got some really neat people. I'm staring at one of them right now, and as you remember to put on his his substitute. You know how you wear a hat, a full hat, and a build hat. Well, he's got a hat on, and it's a tinfoil yarmulke. Because his other hat, his tinfoil hat, is too heavy to keep on his head. He sweats too much. So now he's got this just to make sure not all of the material in his huge brain gets out all at once. So he's staring me in the face, and he's giving me a serious stare. And we're going to talk to him in about 1 minute. We've got Rabbi Moshe calling from Efrat, Israel, to do the Middle East report. We've got Dick Morris again. He's going to tell us what's really going on with Trump and the rest of the world, the FBI and such, and what new stuff has come out about the FBI and about the election fixing. We've got a new guest. We've got Monica Matthews, also known as Monica Radio? I don't know. All right, look that up.
I think it's Monica Matthews on air, I believe.
On air, yeah, something like that.
Yep.
She's great. I talked to her yesterday. She's I'm looking at pictures. I don't know if we got the right picture. We're trying to get her on streaming. So I sent her a link, and hopefully, like JJ, she'll be on there. Of course, she's a lot prettier than JJ, but I don't want to go there. And in his own way, he's a very handsome man. Anyways, we've got, last but not least, Chris Adamo, the great author of Defeating the Radical Left, and he'll be on, and we're going to talk a little bit about what this Marxism is doing to us. Kind of all fits together, doesn't it? So right now, let's play JJ's music.
Buddy, you're a boy, make a big noise, playing in the street, gonna be a big man someday. You
got mud on your face, you big disgrace, kicking your can all over the place, singing, we will rock you. Ladies and gentlemen, this man is 254 years old. He goes back to the days of the Revolution. He was buddies with George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Ben Franklin. Used to go out to the one tavern in Virginia that everyone went to, the Old Tavern, and try to pick up pioneer women. And so he knows a lot. Believe me, he knows a lot, and he comes to this show as a grace to you and me, because he's willing to give a little sliver of that knowledge out to the rest of us to help maintain and make America great again. Please welcome, all the way from Rolla, Missouri, John Jeffrey Bradshaw.
Thank you, Dave.
Good morning, Mr. Bradshaw. How are you?
And good morning to you.
What's in there, that tinfoil hat?
I come on your show pretty disgusted by the things that have occurred in the last week.
Yeah.
I do bring you one bright spot this
Please.
morning, and then we'll go to the disgusting parts. Our buddy Greg Abbott and Doug Ducey and Ron DeSantis have begun shipping illegal aliens to places like the Naval Observatory, Martha's Vineyard, sent them to our vice president's house. Now, the liberal clowns that run this country say that our borders are open, bring them all in, that's just fine. Well, if you happen to be in Arizona, Texas, New Mexico, you've been flooded by these people, and your quality of life has gone right down the toilet. We get no help from Washington on any of that. So these brilliant people started boxing them up and sent them to the sanctuary cities.
Now, make sure you say
they
went willingly, though. They wanted to go to D.C., to Chicago. Martha's Vineyard, hell, I wish I was on that plane. I've never been there. That's kind of a cool place. You think the Obamas would put me up for a week?
That these drooling liberal socialists up in the Northeast, and let's not forget San Francisco.
Oh, yeah.
Say, yeah, we should let everybody in. We should give everybody equal treatment. Let's give them free medical care. Let's let them vote. Let's do everything for them until they land on their doorstep. And when they landed on their doorstep, they declared a state of emergency and demanded that the federal government give them money to help accommodate these people.
Yeah.
Talking out both sides of your mouth.
Yeah, how much money is Texas getting for these people to put them up? Nothing. Right.
I think it may have been Martha's Vineyard wanted $50 million to help these folks. I may be wrong about that. But that is the bright spot this morning. We have some red state governors that are not going to take this bull anymore and decided to shift the problem off to the people that caused it. I think this is wonderful. Now, I'm just a redneck from South Central Missouri. I must not know much. But frankly, I think this is the funniest thing I've seen in a long, long time.
I think this is great. I mean, this is what a move. What a chess move this is. And you haven't heard a peep out of the Obamas. You haven't heard a peep out of Gates. You haven't heard a peep out of the Clintons. They all got places on Martha's Vineyard. You think they'd be out there welcoming these people? This is what they wanted. They wanted diversity. Remember? They wanted those immigrants out there, and they were shipping them out during the Obama administration, way back in the 2009 through 2016. They were shipping them all over the country. Remember the stories you used to see about that?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. The beauty of this thing, and let's take it to its logical conclusion.
Yeah.
Don't ship 50 or 100. Box them all up, every single one, and send them to D.C., San Francisco, New Jersey. You know the list of places.
Sure.
Let's flood these clowns with what they brought on to our country. If you live in South Texas, your quality of life is just dialed down to zero.
Oh, yeah.
Let's ship that problem where it belongs.
And it's interesting, too, because their style of life has gone down to zero. What's life like in San Francisco and L.A.? I mean, it's not far away from the bottom, is it?
Pretty bad.
Yeah.
But you know why that quality of life is so bad? They welcomed this. They refused to enforce the laws. They said, come on, sleep in the street. It's fine. We don't care.
Sure.
You want to shoot up in the public library? Go ahead.
Yeah.
This sort of insanity that's been rampant in California and is now rampant in D.C. and these other places. We welcome you with open arms. Doesn't matter that you came in as a criminal. Doesn't matter that you're a terrorist. Come on into our country.
Come on in. But they're not saying it now. They're not saying it out there in Martha's Vineyard. They're not saying it. I don't recall Kamala inviting people into her home. They were right there.
It is so good that these snotty liberals are getting a dose of their own medicine, and I don't mean 100. Send them all.
Yeah. I get you. What else you got for me, my friend?
Well, okay, that's the part that tickled me so much, and it's tickling me talking about it.
Yeah, now you got to get negative again. Oh, my God.
I'm afraid the negative is fixing to come.
Yeah, right.
The ISO, International Standards Organization, has just created merchant codes for gun and ammunition sales. So when you buy ammunition or a gun on a credit card, that is tracked as you bought a gun or a credit card. Now, what's so silly about this is that somebody like me or you, knowing that this is occurring, are going to go down to the bank. We're going to get the cash. We're going to go down to the gun store, buy the gun. No traceability.
Yeah.
So these people have imposed this on us with very little result. Come on, guys. You're supposed to be smarter than this. So that's kind of a negative. From Axios this morning, I was reading about inflation. And in our country, the cost of electricity is up about 16% this year.
Yeah.
Well, why is that? Well, Biden shut down a lot of our energy production. About 40% of our electricity is produced by natural gas. And the cost of natural gas in this country is up about 70%. Well, why is that? In the European Union, since our buddy Putin shut down the pipeline, particularly to Germany, their natural gas costs are up 240%. Well, what happens? In a free market economy, we liquefy our natural gas and we ship it over to them. I mean, sell it for as much as you can. That leaves a shortage here for our power plants and drives the price up. So you can thank the Biden administration for your power bill going up by about 16%, and that's only this year. You wait till winter happens and see what happens. Thank you, Joe Biden, and your socialist butts that you have surrounding you. You've done us a serious disservice. Thank you so much. Gavin Newsom in California, avowed communist that he is, has created a commission on the state of hate. Are you aware of this?
Who's this now? Who's this?
Gavin Newsom.
Gavin Newsom,
California,
yeah.
Has created a commission on the state of hate. The state of hate.
Yeah. Is that his own state? Is he referring to his own state?
I'm afraid so. He's talking about the hatred among the various races in California and what can we do about that. Now, there's 6 people on this commission. One of them is a Republican, obviously a token Republican.
Yeah.
But what interested me so much is that the person that he appointed to lead this thing came from the Southern Poverty Law Center, possibly the most leftist outfit that there is in this country. The fellow's name is Brian Levin, and I looked him up last night. This guy has got such a spotty civil rights record. He is a clear leftist. And Gavin Newsom has headed him or put him in to head this commission. Now, come on, guys. Do we really need a commission on the state of hate? Guess what? If you folks would stop dividing us, that hate would go away. Stop being a cheerleader for divisiveness. It's so ridiculous. It just gags me.
The state of hate is also driving away so many citizens that Texas is getting overloaded, not just with the illegal immigrants, but with Californians trying to get the hell out of there.
As is
They're
Oregon.
flooding Arizona and everything.
Yeah, I just hope they don't bring their terribly bad habits with them. Special Master, this is one that I know you're just going to love.
Okay.
I know it's in your notes.
Special
Bastard.
Bastard.
You research this stuff. Judge Aileen Cannon has appointed a Special Master.
Oh, I thought you said Special Bastard. I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about me. Special Bastard. That's what I thought I heard. Master,
no,
yes.
Dave, not special bastard.
Oh, yeah. I know all about this. Yeah, go ahead.
No, please.
I'm not going to steal your thunder.
No, I'm sorry. We're degenerating here, and you caused it.
Okay.
So Judge Aileen Cannon has appointed a fellow named Raymond Deary, who's got a pretty good record. I think he was a Reagan appointee, retired judge, and appears to be a fellow that actually has a pretty level head. He does not appear to be the rabid sort of leftist that you would expect to be appointed in this little political problem. This is a big win for the Trump administration. It's a big win for those of us who are conservatives, us MAGA guys. We've been waiting for some justice to occur in this one-sided lambast that the DOJ has shoved down Trump's throat. So I'm very hopeful there that this fellow will weed through the DOJ's allegations and throw most of them out. We all know this is nothing but politics. It has nothing to do with justice.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with violation of our laws. It's nothing but a political witch hunt. And that's what Donald Trump has said it is. And I completely agree with that.
And this extends to November 30th, after the 2022 elections. Isn't that interesting? Mm-hmm. So the FBI is not, or the DOJ is not allowed to examine any of the information that they stole out of Trump's house, so that this guy can see what they actually took and whether or not it was legal to take it, which I believe it wasn't.
This special master will decide what is relevant and what is not.
Exactly.
He will throw out the irrelevant and pass on to DOJ.
That's a huge victory. You're right. Absolutely
It is a
correct.
victory, yes.
Yes.
And that was hard fought. The Trump's lawyers really worked hard on that. And by appointing a special master, at least there is a possibility that justice may come out of this. I'm not particularly hopeful because I've seen what these clowns have been doing for the last year or so. But at least there is a tiny ray of hope that maybe the truth will come out on this Trump raid.
Someday.
Oh, yeah. Sadly, these things go so slowly.
Yep.
One last thing, Dave.
Yes, sir.
I spent the last week up at Gadsden around about 160 shooters.
Yeah.
And I want to tell you, nobody got shot.
Thank you.
There weren't any fist fights.
Like when? Like other years when people got shot? Nobody's ever been shot there, right?
Absolutely not.
How many years have you been doing it?
This is my 9th year for that particular match. In no case do people act like liberal bozos. These are the most responsible, best people on the planet.
Yeah.
Loved it. I'm going back. Okay,
right.
last thing. Ohio Senate candidate Tim Ryan. Have you looked this up, Dave? Is he in your prep?
I know, no, he's not. But I've heard him say something, and I can't remember it offhand. That it was almost threatening.
I have the quote.
Go ahead.
Ohio Senator candidate Tim Ryan, a couple of days ago, said that we must kill and confront the MAGA movement.
Yeah.
Tim,
yeah.
I got some advice for you.
Yeah.
There's a lot of us not so easy to kill.
Yeah. Now, was he saying kill the movement or kill the people in the movement to kill the movement? You can always back away and say, well, that's not what I meant. And I'm sure he planned this out this way to confuse people. But that is a dog whistle to people that would be inclined to do it with the smallest amount of motivation they need.
You know, when the leftists and Antifa decide that they want to do this, come on.
They're smelling that blood right now, and they're saying, hey, I think we need to do something here. You guys got to take care of yourselves out there. You got to be smart, like the 254-year-old genius here, J.J. Bradshaw, and you got to arm yourself, and you got to be careful. Watch yourself. Watch your back. Watch your surroundings. Right?
Well, like DeSantis did for the leftists up in the Northeast, when it comes to your doorstep, you react.
Yeah.
I believe our reaction is going to be substantially different than their reaction has been.
Well,
Dave,
you never know with them.
I love our conversations on Friday.
Yeah, I love it too. You're terrific. The best opening act ever in the world of show business and radio and television. John Jeffrey Bradshaw, let's hear it for him.
Good day.
All right, you're fired, both of you. What's wrong with you? You didn't applause for the poor guy.
I had to cue the peanut gallery.
Cue the peanut gallery, and that didn't happen. Anyways, well, let me introduce these. Well, like I say, these boobs. They're real and. Well, they're good. They're good.
Spectacular,
at what they do.
even, right?
Spectacular,
Yep.
yeah. Thanks for that. You remember the Seinfeld bit more than I did. This is my lovely bride who's wondering what I'm going to say. I can see she's on the edge of her seat.
Yes.
My lovely bride, you look very nice today, darling.
Thank you.
And
as do you.
She
and
is.
JP.
She is.
We all got the black.
I was going to say, apparently we had a team memo that I missed, but yes, somehow
black shirt memo.
We're all in black. I think it's
Well,
fighting black. It's like camouflage, We're fighting. We're in the fighting mode right now. And so this is Lisa Ann Weinbaum. The law.
I'm having a rough morning.
Why?
Well, I reached into the bottom of your travel bag to grab a couple of vitamins that are spilled in there for some reason.
Yeah.
And for some unknown reason, there appears to be an uncapped razor hiding in the bottom of there.
Oh, my God. Did you cut yourself?
Yes,
I
did.
Look at her.
Yes, I did.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Oh, my day is starting off bad.
And
I deserve that. Okay.
I'd also like to put in a quick note that it has truly been a rough week with Ralphie disappearing, but we'd like to thank everybody for
Well, tell everybody
reaching
who Ralphie
out.
is.
You tell him.
Well, he's my dog, our dog, and has been with me since 2006. So that's about 16 years, and 16 years times 7, he's a small dog, would be 112. So he's an old dog, and we know he's in, he was deteriorating pretty fast.
Bad health.
He's losing his hair. He's lost all his hair on his tail, and he's wandering around mystified. And we have an electric invisible fence around the surroundings that keep our dogs in. And for some reason, he got out. He had his collar on, unless the electricity was out or something that day. No. And actually broke through the electric thing and was on somebody's driveway. I have a picture of him on Facebook, Dave Weinbaum page. And if you find him, please let us know. I had a dog that did this once a long time ago, and I found out that he left the house, and he was a Shih Tzu who was like all white, and his name was Adam, and he left us, and I thought, well, I was desperate, and I did it on a old TV show I was on, and sure enough, I got a call, and so I went to this house, which is about 2 miles from where I live, and people very nice, and they said, your dog keeps barking at our back. This dog keeps barking at our back door. He still had a bandana on from when he was manicured and whatever, and it was all raggy and things like that. And he was skinny, and I said, so was he alone? They says, well, we've seen him a lot lately, and I says, well, how's that? Well, he's in a pack. A pack of what? I says, what kind of a pack is he in? A political pack? No, he was leading a pack of wild dogs. This little tiny dog was the leader of the pack. A column I wrote a while back, and he was a leader of wild dogs, big wild dogs. Okay, and they roamed the farms of Rolla, Missouri. And he died like naturally. See, I've got a contentious situation here. Should you kill your dog? Should you euthanize your dog, to put it a nice way? But it's killing your dog. Should you have a party when you know he's about ready to go, or should you wait and let them die naturally somehow, making them as comfortable as possible? I'm going to ask the rabbi about that when he comes on in about 7 minutes. So please let me know. Let me look at the board and see what I got there.
Anyway, I wanted to thank everybody who's shared and reached out, and we really appreciate your concern, and we don't have any good news today. So,
well,
he's still missing.
He's missing. There's still hope.
He's been missing since Monday.
I mean, I didn't think he was...
Since Monday.
I didn't think he was... alive until I saw those pictures.
I know.
So that was great. Kathy Sanford Dillon, good morning and happy Friday, everyone. She created that.
And thanks for sharing the show and the dog post, Kathy.
Patricia Odin Maxwell, looking good, sounding good again. What a great show. Go team. Thank you, Pastor Pat, the official pastor to the Dave Weinbaum Show. Tim Owens is watching. Thank you, Tim. And Gene Bradshaw. That's the oldest man in the world's 39-year-old wife. Gene Bradshaw is watching. Thank you, Gene. Appreciate you. Roy Maddox says, hello, Bradshaw. Must be a good friend of his the way he says it. And Owen McNamee, great promoter of this show. Today is September 16th, and Joe Biden is still the worst president in history. Thank you for that update. I don't know. I wasn't wondering about that today, but thanks for reminding me. Joe Dalton, who I believe is going to call the show, maybe within the next, he's got to do it after the rabbi calls, because the rabbi is calling at 8:40. So he'll be calling the show between now and 9:10, let's say, do a little bit with him. I'm reading my own thing there. All right, that's it. Okay. You want to call the show, 573-578-2700. And now it's time. How about let's we need a laugh. Golly, do we need a laugh. Why don't we do Carlin Sports? Let's do Carlin Sports. That seems to be...
In football, the object is for the quarterback, otherwise known as the field general, to be on target with his aerial assault, riddling the defense by hitting his receivers with deadly accuracy, in spite of the blitz, even if he has to use the shotgun. With short bullet passes and long bombs, he marches his troops into enemy territory, balancing this aerial assault with a sustained ground attack which punches holes in the forward wall of the enemy's defensive line. In baseball, the object is to go home and to be safe. I hope I'll be safe at home. Safe at home.
You know, my brother sends me stuff occasionally, or I see it on Facebook, and he came up with something pretty good. Do you ever see these? There's a couple of huge gas stations coming out. One is Buc-ee's, and the other is Wally's. I wonder if it's the same people, because they all end in double ES. And these are just, you're talking about 100, maybe not 100, but a lot of places to put your gas in. And what my brother pointed out, Marty Weinbaum, was that these are going to be easily converted to electric charging. And isn't that interesting? Of course, by then, where are we going to find all the electricity? If in California, if they have a hot day there, and they need to save electricity, and they hardly have any of these stations there, they stop people from powering their cars, their electric cars, just because it was hot by a few degrees. What are they going to do when they get a lot of these things and they all use electricity? The people are going to be totally isolated. Maybe that's a plan.
Or they could use a generator, which is fueled by...
Yeah, what?
Oh, wait, gasoline.
Fossil fuel.
What an idea.
Fossil fuel. Yeah, it doesn't work. It's not working. That's why they have to give you deals to get this stuff. Solar and fans, these big, huge fans. What do they call those? Not fans, but they look like fans. Might as well be fans. It's they're wind things that create... the windmills. Windmills, yep. Yeah. And they create electricity. So, I don't know. What are you gonna do about them? All right. So we got a great show coming up. We're going to hear a lot of stuff that I think you're going to enjoy and you're going to learn from. I know I've been paying attention this week, and I've been learning a lot about things. I want to play 12 and 13, more about people and the BLM movement and the hypocrites in these cities, these liberal cities where they let everybody out of jail. So let's play 12 and 13. This is Candace Owens speaking
Kim
to Tucker.
Fox in Chicago. And I just want to say what you forgot to mention is the fact that she's both black and a female. And also the mayor of Chicago is black and a female. So I just want to introduce that because, diversity and equity and inclusion and fluffy words that are supposed to make you feel good, even though they're doing bad before they introduce the bait and the switch. It's infuriating to watch your monologue. It's infuriating to watch the monologue, look at all the crime, look at the statistics, and look at the laws behind it. Because you know what it makes me think? You know what it makes the American people think? The criminals are on the streets, but the worst criminals are in office. They're voting on pieces of legislation. They're pushing through pieces of policy policies that are harming the American people, and they know it's harming the American people.
I know.
The thing is, they just don't care because they have armed guards, because they live behind gated communities, because they've sold out the American people. We all knew this was going to come. We voted these people into office, by the way. These are elected officials that stood on a platform and told you to defund the police because they had armed guards. Guys, please be aware that the Black Lives Matter narrative is a complete and utter lie. And by the way, who's being harmed the most? It's everybody. It doesn't matter what your race is or your ethnicity or your gender. But who's being harmed the absolute most when you look at the numbers? Of course, it's Black Americans, the very people that they purported to help when they at first pushed out these policies. Oh, don't worry, it's going to be great. Don't worry about it. We're going to defund the police. Like I said, it's infuriating. And I do want to say this to people that are watching, are still living in these inner communities in Democrat cities. Get out. This is not a joke. Don't wait for it to be you. Don't wait for it to be your child that you're pushing in a stroller when you get run over. Don't wait for it to be you that's going for a jog down the street and you're grabbed into a van and killed and you have 2 kids and you're my age, like what happened to Eliza Fletcher in Memphis. Do not wait for politicians to rescue you. Rescue yourself and get out of these Democrat-controlled cities.
She is a possibility to be really famous someday. She's already famous. But as maybe a vice presidential candidate along with Donald Trump, holy cow. I mean, the Georgia, Stacey Abrams running again for governor, which she still thinks she's in as governor. And I'm telling you, she's a challenge to all of these people that are using race to divide us, and she's lost a lot of black support since 2020, since her last defeat, or 2016, I think it was. So yeah, she still thinks she's governor. Anyways, let's play the Rabbi song because I see his face in front of me. Hi, Rabbi.
Yeah, 1 second, Dave. You were talking to another rabbi? Sounds like you're cheating on me.
No, actually, I'm cheating with you on him because he was the first rabbi. Listen to this. I got rabbis fighting over me. This is kind of weird.
Man travels the world, aligning Christians, Jews, and Muslims. He's a stand-up comic who, after 12 years on the show, finally cracked some good jokes that he wrote. And that was last week. Please welcome the official rabbi of the Dave Weinbaum Show in Missouri, calling all the way from Ephrat, Israel, Rabbi Moshe Rothchild. What's gotten into you? You're getting, you're starting to use some humor. I mean, not that you don't always use humor, but you weren't always cracking jokes. You've been drinking or something?
You're inspiring me after all these years, Dave.
It took me 12 years. My God, no, you were inspired before you ever met me because you were the New York area funniest rabbi. And that takes a lot because there's a lot of funny rabbis up there. Right.
It's not like being Rolla's funniest rabbi. There's not a lot of competition there.
Yeah, I could get a phony rabbi thing and become the funniest rabbi in Rolla. Easily.
It's more like Rolla, the funniest flea market owner or something like that.
That'd be the funniest McDonald's, McDonald's and
owner
and Melrose owner. Anywhere. So anyways, all right. So Israeli anti-drone tech is helping Ukraine beat back Russia. And it looks like, Ukraine is making some progress. Yes. I don't know if this is going to last or not, but wow. What's going on?
Ukraine this week took back a city from the Russians. Yeah. They pushed them back, and the Russians are on the run. And just like Joe Biden, they left all this equipment behind, that the Ukrainians can use.
Well, sure, except their equipment is probably crap from what I've seen. The Russian equipment is not very good. But now Putin's has been meeting with President Xi out there in China, and I don't know if that. I mean, he's getting a lot of. He's selling a lot of gas to the Ukraine and India, so he's getting money for that. But his military apparently sucks.
Yeah, and there's no morale either.
Yeah, they don't want to be there.
They don't think they should be fighting this war. It's Putin's war, and one thing we've learned in Israel is that a motivated fighter is far better than having numbers. You might have numbers on your side, like the Arabs always do against Israel,
right?
But we are very motivated fighters.
Sure,
and, that makes a big difference.
Sure, something that we may have to become here in the United States. Israel has proof that Iran is building weapons in Syria. What kind of weapons are these, and who's beeping the horn?
Yeah,
what the hell is that?
It's the Iranians are trying to muffle you out. There you censoring.
Go. I figured it was them.
But the Israel has, this has been the biggest concern of Israel, that Iran is going to have a border with us in the north, and use Syria as a proxy. So what they are trying to do, and Israel has definitive proof of it, that Iran is trying to establish these bases with, in order to be able to attack Israel and plant their nuclear weapons there. Also, northern Syria, there's a plant that's building missiles. And they believe that Iran is trying to really co-opt that and to run it. So it's very worrisome. But Israel will always do what it needs to do. So
sure. Now, is the deal still half dead, or is it half alive?
I guess it depends if you're an optimist or a pessimist.
There you go.
But it still seems to be, while it seemed at the moment imminent about a week or two ago, now it seems to be off the table for the moment, but that doesn't mean things can't turn around in a week or two, and Biden offers them, a bad deal.
Yeah. And Trump offered him a deal they couldn't refuse. If he had stayed in office, I believe that he would have gotten it done. And maybe all of this would there would always be agitation in the Middle East. I don't think there's ever going to be a time where it's totally peaceful. But this would strike the warlords back maybe 20 years if you got Iran out of this mode of trying to kill everybody in Israel.
Right. Look, the reality is, and I think a lot of people around the world don't realize this, and quite frankly, I understand most people are most interested in local politics and what affects their pocketbook, what affects their gas tank. But the reality of the Middle East is that the problem is really the Shiites and the Sunnis hating each other.
Yeah.
And even if there were, God forbid, no Israel here, it's not like there would be peace in the Middle East.
Right.
That's not the problem. The real problem is the Shiites and the Sunnis. And that's not going away, like you said, anytime soon. And that's really the core of the problem right now.
Now, speaking of that, the murder of this IDF soldier by a PA authority intelligence officer escalates things to another level, according to Israeli PM Lapid.
Yeah.
All right. So what's going on? We can have a war there because of this?
Well, I don't think we're going to have a war, but in case the listeners aren't aware, but what's you have the Palestinian Authority, which is sort of like a quasi government for the Palestinians, and the fact that they have members of their own government and their intelligence corps or their security services joining in terrorist acts against the state of Israel, including a firefight this week where an Israeli soldier was tragically killed. That is a real escalation. Now, as we wouldn't be surprised if it was Hamas or Hezbollah, and quite honestly, we're not that surprised that it's a Palestinian Authority. But the fact that at least on paper they're supposed to be an authority, like some sort of quasi-government, this is a real escalation. And these are people that, by the way, that Israel has given weapons to. When we signed the 1993 Oslo Peace Accords, the Palestinian Authority became a de facto government for the Palestinians, and we armed them. We gave them weapons for security services, and now using those against us, this was everybody's fear. And that's exactly what happened this week, and it's a real escalation. I don't think it's going to lead to a war, but we'll see what happens.
That's like Sharon, I think it was Sharon that gave Gaza, it turned it over to the Arabs, isn't it?
Exactly. When Sharon, who's a right-wing prime minister in Israel, always a very serious hawk, to the right, and he decided to unilaterally withdraw about 8,000 Israelis who were living in northern Gaza, and they were providing a real shelter and a buffer to Israel because they were preventing rockets being fired from northern Gaza.
Yeah.
And he decided to pull out unilaterally and got no concessions, no agreements, no anything from the Palestinians. And then what did we get in return in the last 10 years? More now. We got rockets, we got terror, we didn't get anything for that, and it's just been an absolute disaster on that sense.
So what are guys like that thinking? They're smart people. They're smart people. What are they thinking when they do things like that?
I think they get a terrible disease. It's called hopefulitis.
Yeah.
And they become hopeful, and they start to delude themselves that the Hamas and Hezbollah and the Palestinian Authority actually want peace, and they start to believe their own baloney and really forget at that stage that it's just a ploy to get Israel to make all kinds of concessions. And I don't know why. I don't know what happens. Suddenly they become insane. I mean, it's a great question, Dave. Yeah. But they maybe it's they want to leave a legacy, and
Well, you got Diane giving away half of Jerusalem. I mean, they win the war. They're attacked. They win the war. They win all of Jerusalem, and he gives half of it back.
Right?
How'd that work out?
After World War I, when the United States and the Allies won, the winners, the Allies, dictated the peace, not the other way around. Right. And what normally happens in the course of any war is that the winner, the victor, is the one to dictate what the peace is going to look like. The problem is that Israel gets so weak and so concerned by world opinion, and most of that world opinion is made up of people that hate Israel, like Ben and Jerry's, and
who are also Jewish, by the way.
Yeah, we become so concerned about what will everybody think of us that we become dumb, And Jews, we've been accused of a lot of things. We've been accused of being too rich, of being too poor, of being too this, too that.
Spreading diseases, everything you want to think is bad, right?
We've never been accused of being dumb, but somehow we become very dumb.
Well, if you look at some of the decisions, you have to say that's. For smart people, we make dumb decisions sometimes based on hope. Come on, man. Come on, man. Hey, social media users suggest that Sabra wearing a Star of David as a new character in a new Captain America movie is anti-Palestinian somehow. How does that make sense?
It doesn't make any sense any more than saying that Wonder Woman is anti-Palestinian.
Yeah. But she's wearing a Jewish star, though. That's not supposed to happen, right?
What's that?
She's wearing a Jewish star, a Star of David.
Exactly. It's like there was also a superhero called the Hebrew Hammer. Look. It's about time, for a Jewish superhero. The same way it's about time for more Jews in sports. But,
we got one in St. Louis, Goldschmidt. Oh my goodness, is he good?
A few. There are a few out there, like LeBron James and a few others. But I don't think that it's rational. They're going to find out. They're going to always find a way to hate us.
Well, it's kind of making me want to go see the movie. It'll get some people into the theater, I think. Yeah. So I got a serious question to ask you. My dog Ralphie ran away, and you knew Ralphie, and I'm saying in past tense. I'm not sure exactly. He was 16 years old, 112 years in dog years, barely surviving, but other than a skin condition, he was somewhat okay. He was dazed. He was going to the bathroom in areas he shouldn't have been.
The house.
What does the Bible say? Well, that's where I'm sure
right
he understood
next to
that.
our car doors.
What does the Bible say about mercy killing of pets? Because I didn't want to kill him because he still had a life. He still had something, but now he's disappeared.
Yeah. That's really hard. You know, I had a cat that also years ago. We had a cat when he lived in Manhattan. The cat escaped, out the whatever, and I was looking for him for days. It was crazy. Then I saw him on the corner. He was hitchhiking. He was holding a suitcase. But
that's good. I like that.
Yeah, and then it was crazy.
More jokes.
Look, the reality is the Hebrew word for dog is kelev. Kelev it's actually a contraction of two words, which means kulo lev, which means they are all heart. That's what the Hebrew word for dog means, all heart. Yeah. Because we just got a dog, and I said to my kids, I'm happy to have a dog because finally someone cares when I come home.
It's exactly true.
Yeah,
we have another dog at home, as you know, Gracie. And she's great.
Yeah. My dog loses bladder control when I get in. That's exciting.
Yeah. I thought you said you lose bladder control when your dog comes up to you. Is that what you said?
No. My dog gets bladder control.
Yeah. Well, here's another question. What happened to the lions after King David killed one?
Yeah.
What happened to them?
Yeah. What happened to them?
Yeah, I know. By the way.
Yeah.
They moved to Detroit. They became the Detroit Lions. They can't win, because there's too much growling going on in the field. Not enough football playing.
Not enough bark going on there.
Yeah, there you go.
Right, exactly. Right. Well, the Lions, they've never been good. So
yeah, that's true. What else you got? Anything? Where's your scoop of the day? Is there one?
Scoop of the day.
Yeah.
No, I am fresh out of scoops right now.
All right. That's sad. Other than DaveWeinbaum.net, where can people find and contribute?
Well, they can definitely go to our website, IsraelAlliance.org, or they can go to Facebook.com/Israel Alliance. We'd love to hear from you guys.
Rabbi, I was fired as a snow remover. I always came to work plowed. I don't know why. All right, Rabbi Moshe Rothchild, all the way from Efrat, Israel.
Just reminded me, Dave, you know what they call the Jews in Alaska?
The
Frozen Chosen.
The Frozen Chosen. Oh, I like that. Did you make that up?
I didn't. It's an old one.
Okay. Well, you're kind of an old
one. In Alaska, they call themselves the Frozen Chosen.
All right.
Well,
okay. That's good.
Guys, I want to wish you all Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Hi to you and Nate and the kids.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Next week will be our Friday, right before the New Year's. New Year's
That's
is
right.
Sunday, a week from Sunday.
Yeah,
so
you're going to be able to come on next Friday?
Absolutely.
All right, great. Thanks, Rabbi.
Right.
Rosh Hashanah, right? Yeah, thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.
All right. And if I get a call within the next 30 seconds from one Joe Dalton, I will take it.
Yeah, we probably need to get our first commercial break.
Yeah, I'm going to get that first commercial break in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.5, 1.
Honey, what are you doing?
What does it look like I'm doing?
It looks like you're filling up a swimming pool.
Yep, I'm filling up a swimming pool.
In our living room?
How else am I going to watch the game and stay cool?
If your AC is on the fritz, call Hartley's Climate Control. Hartley's is the area's best in HVAC repairs, installs, and maintenance. Knowledgeable, honest, and dependable. Serving Rolla and the surrounding areas for commercial or residential needs. Hartley's Climate Control. Community born, community raised, community serving.
Call Hartley's Climate Control today at 573-368-3163.
Kent's Jewelry does custom engravings for almost anything. Awards, signs, guns, swords, mugs, yetis, and knives. Kent is the premier custom jeweler in mid-Missouri. We have a great staff, the technology, and equipment to create what you dream for, jewelry and engraving. Kent's Jewelry, 907 North Pine, downtown Rolla, 573-364-1030. That's 573-364-1030. Locally owned. Never be too coy to tell your friends and family about Koi Sushi and Hibachi. Celebrate the best Chinese-Japanese restaurant in the Midwest. Call 573-426-5551 to make a reservation or order takeout. Locally owned, 1808 North Bishop, Rolla, Missouri.
We can sum up McDonald's new crispy chicken sandwich in one word. Crispy. But also juicy and tender. Okay, it's crispy, juicy, tender. All one word. But then, also pickle. Oh, and potato bun, which is two words. Okay, we can't sum up our new crispy chicken sandwich in one word, so you'll just have to try it to understand it. Order ahead on the McDonald's app at participating McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Merrill's Quarry and Asphalt, 40 years serving cities, counties, and everyday businesses with driveways for people who live and work in our little piece of heaven right smack dab in the middle of America. Call 573-578-9101 for your free estimate of rocking, rolling, paving, driveways, sealing, and striping, too. That's 573-578-9101 for your free estimate.
Your home is castle. You don't need unwanted hassle. Don't let those creatures move in to stay. Let us protect your investments. That's what we're all about. Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day. Plank is locally owned and family operated right here in Rolla, a Google preferred business. Our customer service and your satisfaction is our number one goal. So call Plank today at 368-3333. Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day.
At your locally owned Price Chopper, our standards are high because we know yours are. See for yourself what an incredible fresh selection of grocery items we have in store. Talk to our expert meat associates about what you're looking for. They're happy to meet any special requests like custom cuts, or see our expert produce associates on how to pick out the best fruits and vegetables. Quality in the deli means fresh, full flavor, and always delicious. If you're craving fresh, baked goodness, we have that too. You can expect the best selection and the best value while interacting with our friendly and knowledgeable employees. You can find what you're looking for fast and easily at the best prices at Price Chopper. Fresh savings every day.
Maybe it's for a kitchen you've always wanted. Maybe it's just to have a little extra room. Whatever the reason you're considering a new home loan, it's good to know that Town & Country Bank will guide you in the right direction. Our experienced local lenders are here to help you with a new home construction, remodeling projects, and fixed and adjustable rate home loans. You can even start the process online by clicking Online Mortgage Center at tcbanks.com. Smart, friendly solutions. Town & Country Bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
A-Car Real Estate, where experience matters. $532 million sold since 2003, the #1 sales volume in Phelps County. As a client for decades, I can say they are the best in mid-Missouri. Call 573-368-7355. That's 573-368-7355 for the best real estate experience you'll ever have. Okay, we are back on the show. We have a caller. Hi there. Welcome to the Dave Weinbaum Show. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Joe, and I'm calling from Rolla.
What a shock. I was so shocked I prepared something for you. Let's play clip 14.
Dr. Phil recently interviewed Lila Rose, the pro-life activist. She's not getting on Morning Joe. So she came on, a guest tried to shout her down, and here's how she reacted.
You have no empathy. Abortion is devastating to women's mental health. No one talks about that. The year after a woman has an abortion, it's really like the year after a woman to have the child. What kind of trauma is that? The trauma is from the rape. Somebody? The trauma is from the rape. The child's an innocent party there. The child isn't born yet. It's not there. We should not take out generational sin on a child to say there's generational sin and that dad was an abuser, so the child should be killed. That's not fair to the child. We're talking about rights, and he just said a right has been taken away from us. And what is next? I want to address that because our fundamental human right that we all share in this room is life. It's the first human right. Laws are meant to protect the weak. In a society, who's the weakest? Who's the weakest in the society? A child. Whether you live 10 minutes or 10 years or 100 years, you're a human life, and you have the right to not be killed.
Your response, Mr. Dalton.
Lila's amazing. She's a rock star in the pro-life movement. I met her a couple of times, and she is spot on. Spot on.
Yeah.
Sure.
And that's true, isn't it, that women get a abortion and then years later they begin to be what did I do? What does that mean? What does it really mean? And not really understand it when they were getting the abortion?
Yeah, it really does. And something, usually what happens, to our experience anyway, because we counsel women, coach women that have had prior abortions and help them to receive forgiveness and healing. But it's something usually triggers that memory to come back. So in other words, they've been repressing it and pushing it down for years and years and years, sometimes decades, and then something happens to bubble that to the surface, and that generally comes out as anger. And that woman that was yelling at Lila during that show is probably one of those women.
Yeah.
And it's nothing against her. You know, we love her just like we love everybody.
Right.
But the reality is it hurts women deep down.
Sure.
You know, what Lila was saying later on in that interview was that, I'm sorry, yeah, how could it not? But it's like the suicide rate is like 6 times as great in the first year after an abortion than another woman, right? So there's things to look at there from a psychological perspective. So, yeah.
All right. So you got something going on tomorrow, don't you?
Yes, it's our annual walk, 5K run for life, and it's at Lions Club Park. Registration is at 9 a.m. and the event starts at 10. And you're not able to be there this year, but you're usually there with your big finger pointing people in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean that's what it's my job. People don't understand what I have whittled being a McDonald's owner-operator of several stores, and basically what I do, since my son has taken over mostly, is direct traffic and drive-through in Rolla, Missouri, on certain days of the week, and it is I used to do this before my son was involved, and it just seems to me the place to be because everything, the drive-thru is the most ignored thing in the world. And I try to get out there and help people, make sure they're pulling up so other people can order, you know, and do a little stand-up comedy while I'm out there. It's mostly a funny thing.
And your customers, most of them appreciate that. Most of them love to see you.
I mean, I see my sales.
I certainly do.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. I also appreciate the fact that I have to ask you to pull up a little bit here and there. But that's okay. That's my job, okay? Your job Your job is not to be a drive-through expert. Your job is to what? Save babies.
There you go.
Right? There we go. That's the old thing. And I worked with Joe and his lovely bride Jane and the board of directors of the Pregnancy Resource Center, and we had a blast. And now we've been kicked off because we timed out. Our term was up. Anyways, Joe, anything else you want to say?
Well, to that point, I want to say thank you for 6 awesome years of serving the board of directors.
It was a lot of fun, and I think you all did a great job, and we succeeded in saving babies. JP wants to say something.
So, if they have a term limit or limit for even the board, why do we not have that for public officials? I find that interesting.
Because they're not going to vote that for themselves.
Well, true.
It wasn't like I was rifting. It wasn't like I was taking money out. I was giving money in. You see, they're getting money and taking it out, and lots of money. I mean, that's a hell of an opportunity for them. You look at the Pelosi's son and Hunter Biden. They're bringing millions and millions and millions of dollars into the family.
So I'm just a bystander, but in my limited view, it seems like politicians have changed a bit. It used to be that they only cared about 3 things, and that was money, getting reelected, and money.
Yeah.
Okay. Now it's changed a bit where they care about money, getting reelected, and staying out of jail. Those are the 3 things they're worried about.
Not too many of them go to jail. I mean, that's
if Trump gets back in office, they will.
Yeah. All right. Listen. I got Dick Morris coming on at 9:15, and we're going to do some other stuff before Dick gets on. So you have a great walk tomorrow.
Thanks. Let's push people to our website, supportmyprc.com. Supportmyprc.com. Click the drop down that says walk. Events. And click on the Walk for Life to donate and support what we're doing.
It's a great thing, and we have to go somewhere else tomorrow. So thanks a lot. Hi to Jane, my friend.
Hi, everybody. Love you.
Have a good walk tomorrow.
Too. Bye. God bless.
Thanks. God bless you.
All right. So we have official, I guess, pro-life, the official pro-life person. I guess that would be Joe Dalton. They've been good friends for a lot of years, and I used to contribute before I was on the board of directors. And we had, and my wife was on the board of directors. Yes, dear, I know. My wifey was on the board of directors too, and we had a lot of funny, smart people on that thing. We had a lot of fun doing the meetings. McCluskey comes to mind, not Mark McCluskey, but Chris McCluskey, who was a very brilliant man, an actor too, and all his kids are actors and actresses.
Speaking of Mark McCluskey,
yeah, he was Mark McCluskey. Oh yeah.
I'd like to point out something that he posted today.
Oh, can you get that on?
Which
here, can you get that on camera?
I shared it on the Dave Weinbaum page.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, that's funny.
A new spin on their photograph. It's been they've replaced their faces.
Yeah, with Barack Obama
holding the guns
and Michelle.
Yes,
and that's funny. He was
on. It's been photoshopped.
He was on the Tucker Carlson show last night. They put their pictures up there while he was talking about this thing up there. So somebody got that idea, probably from Tucker Carlson. So that's pretty funny right there. All right, we got about 2 minutes before Dick Morris comes on. And that should be very interesting. This guy, Morris, he is probably the most famous advisor of presidents in the history of the United States of America. Maybe in total history, 2 completely different kinds of presidents. All right? And really something. And he's good friends with Donald Trump. He says he loves that. He's the only guy in New York City that loves his landlord.
That was a great
now.
line. That was
absolutely
great.
Well, he's a funny guy, little old Jewish guy like me, and I'm 12 days older than him. So he ought to, when we talk, he should say sir to me. He should show me some extra respect, right? Okay, so let's do a bit before we call. Let's do the basketball thing. Okay. Let's do that.
I noticed I read where you scored about 20 points a game. That's right. That's amazing. How can you possibly score 20 points a game?
Basically, most of my points are scored from the foul line. John, what I do is I wait until the other team gets the ball. Right. Then I just run down to the other end. Then I set up my position like this. Right. And then they just run into me, bang, like this. And then I pretty much...
Well, that's intriguing. Right. But do you ever actually get to handle the ball during the game?
I do. Once in a while, they'll get it to me. I'm pretty doggone good, the ball handler. You know, I'm short, but once they get it to me, I got it. It's hard.
Oh, that's amazing. Amazing.
Thank you very much.
Well, I guess... I would imagine. I guess at your height, you actually see a different game than the other players.
Johnny, at my height, I not only see a different game, I smell a different game.
Well, I don't understand what you mean.
Well, I'm dealing mostly in shoes and socks.
Oh, yeah,
I see what I mean. See, so beginning of the season, it's not too bad. But as that season goes on, we're talking a waffle. You know. By the time I get to the finals, I can take the enamel right off
your breath.
Like that. Right,
all righty. We're ready for our next guest. We're going to play a little song first, and I'll introduce him.
From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea. From Detroit down to Houston, New York to L.A. Well, there's pride in every American heart.
My next guest is the most famous advisor to presidents in United States history. He's an author of 14 New York Times bestsellers, including the last one, the only man these days who actually likes his landlord, TV and radio star Dick Morris. How's it going, Dick? How you doing, man?
What a cool introduction.
Yeah, you get a little song. In fact,
Wonderful.
Why don't you send me a song that you like?
You got one. You got one.
Was that it?
Yeah.
That's sung by another guest on the show. That's Dr. Amy Cooper Hakim.
Well, if you want to do something with intro Joe Biden, you could do "You Ain't Nothing But a Hound Dog." But...
No, I've got a copy of his last speech. Okay, so let's play that real quick for Dick.
No.
No, you don't want to hear that? That's enough. I don't want Dick to get upset because we have limited time. But that was the last speech he made. So Dick, Trump's counter-offensive to Mar-a-Lago raid exposes them and exposes the people that are trying to attack him, but not him. And it sounds like he almost planned it this way.
Well, that's a stretch, but certainly it's going to work out. First, let me just intro it. My book is called The Return.
Yes.
Trump's big 2024 comeback. And it's in 2016, I wrote a book saying that Trump could beat Hillary, called Armageddon. And that was kind of a game plan for Trump. And now I've done one for his reelection, and that's called The Return. And very simply stated, Trump has demonstrated in week after week his dominance over the Republican primaries, where his candidates have won every single primary except Georgia. And so he's going to be the Republican nominee, probably unopposed. And if you look at this economy, how can you imagine that this election would go any way other than Republican? So I think Trump is going to be the next president, and my book kind of elaborates that. But let me go to your question. We're looking at this whole business of these documents in the archives and all of this through the wrong end of the telescope. These documents are not documents that implicate Donald Trump in anything. These documents were kept by Trump to implicate the FBI in what they're doing. they prove there's a smoking gun. We don't know them yet, but most likely there's a smoking gun that shows that the FBI created, fabricated, propagated, and the Russia hoax, and that they knew it was a lie, and that they made it up as a lie to stop Donald Trump from being elected. 2 days ago, or 3 days ago now, Igor Danchenko, the oligarch, who is the source of most of Christopher Steele's dossier, most of it ballroom gossip, actually, but the point is stuff that was inaccurate, that he wrote most of the dossier, or gave Steele the info. Now it turns out 3 days ago that he was on the FBI payroll.
Yeah.
That he was in fact doing this for the FBI. So that the FBI knowingly created a document that was complete fiction to try to get Trump, not only stop him from winning, but throw him out once he was elected and was their boss at the FBI. And it is just unbelievable. And Trump had that information, and the FBI raided Mar-a-Lago to seize it so Trump couldn't use it. Not that they could use it against Trump, but because they didn't want Trump to use it against them.
And this became public. This became public because of John Durham's investigation.
Right.
He put it out there. I guess he was in fear of this stuff disappearing.
Yep. I think absolutely. You know, what's going to happen here is that the investigation of Trump is going to go nowhere. A lot of subpoenas, a lot of noise, basically designed to try to scare Trump's donors from giving money and during the elections. And then the Republicans are going to win. I'll explain that in a minute.
Please.
And they're going to then have the mother of all investigations of the FBI. And I don't know if any of your listeners are as old as I am to recall that in the 1970s, the CIA and Kissinger were assassinating foreign leaders all over the place. And they did an investigation of the CIA and totally exposed it, led to a complete house cleaning of the agency, and changed everything that they do there. That's what's coming in the FBI, in my judgment. But
they have to be scared to death of Donald Trump. They are scared to death of Donald Trump. They are absolutely besides themselves, and they'll do anything to keep their power.
Yeah. So let me go through the Senate now, okay? Can
Sure.
I go state by state?
Of course.
Think of it as a tennis match. There are three opportunities that the Democrats have to break our serve. That is, flip Republican seats. One of them is in Wisconsin, where Ron Johnson is up for re-election. And he was behind for a while because he dithered about whether he was going to run again.
Yeah.
But now he's got a lead, 3 points, and his opponent, Barnes, just said that we need to, quote, stymie capitalism, unquote, to protect the climate. He's a gone goose.
Yeah.
In the other is Pennsylvania, where Dr. Oz
had
a tough primary. But now the Washington Post editorial board, of all places, has called on Fetterman, the Democrat, to release his medical records, which he won't do, and to debate Oz in September, not wait until the end of October. And he can't get out a coherent English sentence because of
he was a nothing for 49 years. He was living off his dad for 49 years without a job, or became a mayor of a town. And he's a big liberal slob is what he is.
Yeah, and wants to free a third of the people from jail.
Yeah.
In Pennsylvania. It's great. And then there's a slight chance of a problem in North Carolina, but I don't think that's going to be difficult. Then there are about 5 or 6 opportunities for Republicans to break the Democratic serve, and they're looking pretty good.
Yeah.
Herschel Walker is now ahead in Georgia.
Yeah.
About 3, and I think he's going to stay there. You know, he had to learn how to be a candidate.
Right.
And he's learning that. I think, secondly, that in Nevada, Laxalt is now ahead of Costa Mastos, and in the Senate there, and I think that's a likely win. And then we have Arizona. We're a little behind, but we'll see. I think we can.
Is that Kerry?
Kerry Lake is way ahead, so I think that Michaels will.
The problem with that election is that you have Democrats in control of voting who are also running.
Well, yeah, but in Arizona, that's not an issue really, because the legislature passed and the governor signed a fabulous election law reform. So there are no drop boxes. There's got to be photo ID, all that stuff. And I think we're going to be okay in Georgia and in Arizona where those laws have taken effect. And then you have other opportunities for breakthroughs that are very good. I think that in Colorado, Mike Bennett, the Democrat, is now tied with John O'Day, his Republican challenger. I think that in Arizona, we could very likely pull that out. I think that in New Hampshire, where we just nominated Bolduc, Hassan won last time with less than 1,000 votes, so she's got to be vulnerable. And then there are longer shot takeaway opportunities. Blumenthal is in trouble in Connecticut.
That's
Patty
big.
Murray is in trouble in Washington State.
That's big.
Yeah, so I think that the likely outcome here is 52 or 53 Republican senators.
And then we're going to see lots of hearings, and God bless these rhinos and make them turn their hearts or turn their left ankle so that I can recognize them every time they move. My goodness, they're horrible.
But there's one thing that is more important than the hearings.
What's that?
The money that Biden spent that's causing this horrific inflation, including the IRS agents, the extra agents.
Yeah.
Is those bills that passed are just authorization bills. There needs to be appropriation bills that are passed.
Mm-hmm.
And the fiscal year expires at the end of this month, end of September. And what they usually do, and they will do, because they haven't gotten the budget together, is to do a continuing resolution, keeping the government open for a couple of weeks till they can get it together, usually until Christmas after the election. But the Republicans are saying, you can pass a continuing resolution, but not for 8 weeks. In December, when you can pass that now, but in December, we're going to revisit this because we will have won Congress the month before. And we are not then going to just continue your budget into the next fiscal year. We're going to do our own budget, and we're going to give you until March to get a budget passed. And if not that, the government will shut down. So we will have a real opportunity in January, February, and March of next year to roll back the Biden spending, including those extra IRS agents, and do something to tame the inflation by reducing the amount of spending, which will have two effects. First, it itself will reduce the inflation. And secondly, the Fed will learn that the Congress is serious about cutting spending, and they will not increase rates as dramatically as they were, which means we can avoid perhaps a really serious recession. So there's a lot riding on this, and there's a lot we can do when we take Congress, which I think we will in November.
So we should all take our last $5 and give it to Donald Trump, right?
Well, yeah, you should, but at the moment, give it to your friendly local Republican candidate for Senate.
So let me ask you this: what happens if Trump is primaried by the likes of DeSantis or Pompeo? Now I know you say that's not going to happen. I've got a guest coming on soon that says she has information that DeSantis is going to run against Trump in a primary.
No, he's not. First of all, he's not crazy. DeSantis.
That's what I would think.
The nomination in 28 locked up.
Yes.
And if he goes in 24, he'll get his butt handed to him.
So who is Trump's vice president then?
And he's edging out DeSantis by a narrow margin in the national polling, 56 to 15.
Yeah, right.
You think a politician is going to run when he's at the
That's what I'm
15
thinking, but she shocked me when she
got a sure
told
nomination in 4 years. Forget about it.
So who would Trump's vice president be?
Oh, God, I don't know.
Oh, come on, you know this.
Right now. The important thing is that this guy, Trump, is going to be, I have to research this, but I think it's true, the only candidate of a major party in modern times to be nominated by acclamation, which means no primary, unanimous, who is not an incumbent president seeking another term, an immediate second term. It's unbelievable, but he's not going to have any Republican opposition.
Yeah. And he might have to be running from being indicted. While he's indicted, he might have to be running.
No, there's no way he's.
Isn't there a grand jury up in D.C.?
Yeah, there always is, and there will be. But after the Republicans take Congress, nobody in the Department of Justice would dare move to indict him.
Okay.
Or the FBI. I mean, they will have to keep their heads down. They will be under fire. And I don't think they... But plus the fact they didn't do anything. I mean, the accusation that he held on to the archives and should have returned them, that's like indicting somebody over an overdue library book.
Now, I have other questions, but we're at 15 minutes. Can you answer one more question or so?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Abbott's move to send illegals to Kamala's backyard, and DeSantis moving these illegals to Martha's Vineyard. Is this brilliant or what?
Yeah. Well, that's, about NIMBY, not in my backyard.
Yeah.
Now the liberals are doing that, and I think it's great to watch them squirm.
Oh, my gosh. This is especially Martha's Vineyard. These guys are there and they're looking and saying, people in America who haven't been to Martha's Vineyard, I mean, what do we got to do? Do we cross the border and come back as illegals and get sent to there? My goodness. Now they're talking about Long Island and places like that.
I have a cute story for a moment about Martha's Vineyard. When I worked for President Clinton, he kept vacationing in Martha's Vineyard.
Yeah.
And I told him, that looks bad. The optics are terrible. You got to go someplace else. And he said, okay, where should I go? So I did a poll, and I said, you got to go to the Rockies and go camping and live in a 2-person tent. And he looked at me and he said, with Hillary?
And then he went, where did he go? He went to Epstein's Islands, right?
And then
Did he go to Epstein's Islands?
No, he went to the Rockies.
The Rockies. All right.
Yeah, he went to Yosemite. Went to Yellowstone. And he lived in the tent. And when he came back, he said, this is the only time I've had a vacation, haven't moved up in the polls. But he was in a terrible mood because he had to do that the whole time.
Now, was he with Hillary?
Yeah.
Okay.
2-person tent. She spent the time writing a book.
Okay, now wait a minute. What do you feel about these people you used to work for, if you can say it?
It's like a first marriage,
Wait a minute. Listen, I hate to confess this, but I'm on my 4th marriage, and this one's going to last. Trust me. But
but think of your first. I mean,
no. Do I have to? No, I don't want to.
Well, you asked me to.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I could ask you that. All right.
Take care.
All right. Listen, thanks a lot, and we gotta get done, right? I have one thing to ask you. Tell us where people can find you.
I've not been banned yet. So
the
book is called The Return, Trump's Big 2024 Comeback. And you can get it in any Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, my website, dickmorris.com, newsmax.com. Newsmax has an offer where they give you the book for free if you sign up to their magazine.
Oh, cool.
Which is worth it anyway. So, and the funny thing about it is that I've sold like 60,000 copies.
Wow.
And the New York Times won't put it on the bestseller list.
Yeah.
The book publishers say that I'm entitled to spot number 4. But the New York Times is printed on paper, not asbestos. So they're afraid it'll self-immolate the newspaper if they put a book entitled Trump's Return.
Well, too bad for them. And all their workers don't want to go back because it's too expensive to go. They want to stay at home, and right. So where are they at? I don't know. Anyways, just some more information. I got fired as a dry cleaner. I was always 3 sheets to the wind. Ladies and gentlemen, Dick Morris. Thank you, Dick. You have a great day, and I enjoy the interview. Thank you very much.
Despite that pun, I will.
Oh, you can do crickets now? That's bad.
Yep.
No, that's all right. See what you did. Thanks, Dick. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye. Okay. All right. Let's do. Have we done? We've done one set of commercials, right? Let's do another one right now, and we'll get that. And I want you to spend money with these people. I actually spend money with all these people. Isn't that something? Yes, dear. What?
I'd like to go to dinner again at Koi.
Yes, honey. We were going to go there, and well, we'll go there. Yes. Okay. I want to go there too.
Yay.
Okay. Golly.
Got to take
this wasn't the cue to nag me.
Take the opportunity.
This wasn't the cue to nag me.
That's not nagging.
Oh, ow.
Oh, gosh.
This is, you got to get.
With warmer temperatures right around the corner and allergies ramping up, now's the time to get those AC units serviced. At Hartley's, we pride ourselves in offering outstanding service with fast response times. With proper maintenance, you can make those hot days be a lot cooler and remove those pesky allergens that always seem to find their way into your home. Call us today so you can be living a much cooler and healthier life. Hartley's, community born, community raised, community serving.
Call Hartley's Climate Control today at 573-368-3163.
Kent's Jewelry does custom engravings for almost anything. Awards, signs, guns, swords, mugs, yetis, and knives. Kent is the premier custom jeweler in mid-Missouri. We have a great staff, the technology, and equipment to create what you dream for, jewelry and engraving. Kent's Jewelry, 907 North Pine, downtown Rolla, 573-364-1030. That's 573-364-1030. Locally owned. Never be too coy to tell your friends and family about Koi Sushi and Hibachi. Celebrate the best Chinese-Japanese restaurant in the Midwest. Call 573-426-5551 to make a reservation or order takeout. Locally owned, 1808 North Bishop, Rolla, Missouri.
We can sum up McDonald's new crispy chicken sandwich in one word. Crispy. But also juicy and tender. Okay, it's crispy, juicy, tender. All one word. But then, also pickle. Oh, and potato bun, which is 2 words. Okay, we can't sum up our new crispy chicken sandwich in one word, so you'll just have to try it to understand it. Order ahead on the McDonald's app at participating McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Merrill's Quarry and Asphalt, 40 years serving cities, counties, and everyday businesses with driveways for people who live and work in our little piece of heaven right smack dab in the middle of America. Call 573-578-9101 for your free estimate of rocking, rolling, paving, driveways, sealing, and striping, too. That's 573-578-9101 for your free estimate.
Your home is your castle. You don't need unwanted hassle. Don't let those creatures move in to stay. Let us protect your investments. That's what we're all about. Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day. Plank is locally owned and family operated right here in Rolla, a Google preferred business. Our customer service and your satisfaction is our #1 goal. So call Plank today at 368-3333. Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day.
Busy schedule? Let your locally owned Price Chopper help you save time with online shopping. It's easy. Sign up to tcmarkets.com or download our mobile app in the App Store or Google Play. Create an account and browse through the categories and choose the items you need.
When you place your order, your personal shopper will get all of the items you've selected, taking the same care you would and following your notes. We offer free curbside pickup, so you don't even have to get out of your car. Start your online order today and no online shopping fee for a limited time. Go to tcmarkets.com or download our mobile app to get started. Price Chopper. Fresher savings every day.
At Town & Country Bank, we are committed to providing exceptional service to our customers. We do more than just provide loans for our community. We help make dreams become reality. Whether it's a new home, farm, business, or a new car, we would love the opportunity to help. Stop by one of our 2 Rolla locations and let our friendly lending team remind you how special hometown banking can be. Smart, friendly solutions. Town & Country Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
A-Car Real Estate, where experience matters. 532 million sold since 2003, the #1 sales volume in Phelps County. As a client for decades, I can say they are the best in mid-Missouri. Call 573-368-7355. That's 573-368-7355 for the best real estate experience you'll ever have. Okay, we're back, and just flashing on the TV, Biden is accusing Republicans of kidnapping illegals and putting them in places where they don't want to be. Well, that's not exactly true. And if you talk about kidnapping, the Obama administration from 2009 through 2016 had planes in the air distributing illegal aliens to all sorts of different places, and I'm not sure all of them agreed with the places they wanted to be in. It was all strategic. I think they should give a round of applause to Governor Abbott and Governor DeSantis for having these aliens who are getting off the planes saying, yeah, we love being here in Martha's Vineyard.
Hey, he's just a problem solver. He figured it out.
He just figured it out.
I mean,
wow. And there's been I believe there's been no welcoming of these poor, disrespected illegal aliens on Martha's Vineyard. There's been nothing reported in the news that the Obamas have taken in. There's only 50 of them. They got a house big enough to where they can put all 50 of them in, get their families out of Mexico or wherever they were, Venezuela, and probably still not even have to, interact with them that much. Wow. What racist pigs they've shown themselves to be. I'll repeat that. This is Barack Obama, a black man, and Michelle Obama, a black woman, living on an island that's 80% white. Okay? And they won't take these, whatever colors they are, mostly brown, Latinos in when they're yelling at everybody in Texas, where they're completely, totally stacked with all sorts of people that have been unchecked. They're unfamiliar whether they're sick or not, COVID. How outrageous.
Yeah, shouldn't Abbott and DeSantis be he's getting them where they want to go? I mean, come on.
Yeah, it's just
that interesting.
It's just incredible, isn't it? Let's see, where are we at on clips?
We have not done any of the Tucker Carlson ones yet.
Camilla?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. So we've done 1 and 3. We
got 1 and 2, and then
1 and 2.
12, 13, and 14 are done. So
12, 13, and 14 are done. Okay.
Yep.
So let's do 3 and 4.
I began by asking the vice president about how over 2 decades our focus has had to shift from foreign terror to the threat within. The threat within? What does that mean? What the hell are you talking about, you freaking lunatic? There is no group of Americans anywhere in the United States half as dangerous as the 9/11 hijackers. To suggest otherwise is literally insane. Drawing a parallel between the election justice protest of January 6th and the fall of the Twin Towers? True lunacy. But Kamala Harris didn't even pause, almost like the whole question was a setup. She just nodded. This unspecified internal threat, she confirmed, is in fact just like al-Qaeda. Quote, very dangerous and very harmful. You may be wondering at this point, what is this threat? Since we've just declared a new war on terror, but against whom? Who is this threat? Well, of course, it's you. But wait a second, you ask. Didn't Kamala Harris herself call the 2016 presidential election illegitimate? Your memory's not failing. Yes, she did. And so did every leader of the Democratic Party. And they will say the same to this day. And yet she is telling us, the sitting vice president, that anyone who questions the 2020 election should be in jail. Watch.
What is a semi-fascist?
Listen, I think that let's not get caught up in politicizing the fact that most people in America know that it is not helpful to our country when we have people who are denying elections or trying to obstruct the outcome of an election where the largest number of people in our country voted for the President of the United States.
Whoa, time out. Because up until that time, 2016 was the same thing. Yeah. The most people voted ever, but yet they can question that, but now we can't question this one?
Everybody has been complaining about elections in this country since George Washington was elected president, and it's a First Amendment issue that you have a right to say that this election was fixed. I believe this election was fixed. And for those of you who have been on air, Brett Baer, saying that it's a lie, I believe is asking for a lawsuit. You cretin. How dare you call me a liar? I have evidence, and I believe I have proof. Lots of proof.
There's still some, again, with no proof after all these years, that still claim Gordon never lost in 2000 to Bush. They're still claiming that one.
They're still claiming that one. Exactly. I had a judge come through my drive-thru yesterday, and we started talking, and I didn't recognize him at first, but then I said, well, you're a judge, all right? Yeah. So he's talking, and he's telling me, I was talking to him about Bill Barr, because he's an issue. And I think he's in agreement with me, and he says, but you know, when they question him about who he'd vote for if it was between Trump and a liberal Democrat, he said he'd vote for Trump. Okay. I found that to be interesting. Meanwhile, he wants him in jail. How do you balance those two things? And he is a huge part of this. I'm telling you, because he was in charge of the FBI while they were stealing the election by cutting out the access to the Hunter Biden laptop, and they stopped it at Facebook and at Twitter, and there was a poll taken after the election that if they knew about this, the Biden voters, 17% of them would have voted for Donald Trump, and guess what? That in itself is enough to change the election results. The FBI fixed our elections, helped by 50 intel officers who lied that Hunter Biden's laptop was Russia hoax. Okay? Unbelievable. All right, well, we need a moment here, I think. And we need something to cheer us up a bit. All right, let's do the Brit. He never gets old.
I love America. It's an amazing place. And do you know what I've come to realize, right? Americans, you basically do everything that we do, but you do it bigger and you do it better. Like, we have stupid people here. But your stupid people are world class. And that is not me saying, oh, all Americans are stupid. No, America also has the smartest people on the planet. What I'm saying is that when America does stupid, you do stupid. Like, our village idiot is in a park shouting at clouds. Yours is president.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. This is kind of embarrassing, but there's no toilet paper over here. Are you talking to me? Yeah, I just forgot to check, so if you could spare some. No, I'm sorry. What? No, I'm sorry, I can't spare it. You can't spare it? No, there's not enough to spare. Well, I don't need much. Just 3 squares will do it. I'm sorry, I don't have 3 squares now, if you don't mind. 3 squares? You can't spare 3 squares? No, I don't have a square to spare. I can't spare a square. Well, is it 2 ply? Because if it's 2 ply, I'll take 1 ply. 1 ply. 1 puny little ply. I'll take 1 measly ply. Look, I don't have a square and I don't have a ply. No, don't pull. I beg you.
All right. Coming up very shortly, in fact, in 10 minutes, hopefully, if she's streaming, hopefully she got that into her. She must have, because she's a pro. She's been around for probably a little longer than me, and she's talked to a lot of impressive people, so she knows how this stuff works. In fact, she's got her own show. She was on radio for a long time, and I think she got canceled once or twice, like me. That's the experience that you get. And she probably said some stuff. Do you have something can you show me if that works? We're gonna do a little practice. Now, this is what she looked. Yeah, that'd be great. Okay, that would work. I don't want that one. I want this one. I think this is much better look for her. What do you think, honey?
Yeah, it's got her website right there, so I think that's appropriate.
Okay, yeah. Thank you. Because you sit here and you don't want to comment about a good-looking woman on a show, do you? Other than your wife.
Probably a wise decision.
Yeah, so I'm not saying anything about that. I just thought that was an appropriate one to use, and thank you for the whip. It hurts, but you know what? I am muscling through this. All right, so she knows too that she's supposed to call me, and you get a little nervous when you have a first timer on, but she's not really a first timer. She's a pro. I know she is. I had a nice conversation with her yesterday, and I based my prep on her comments. Anyhow, this Fetterman guy we were talking about running for Senate in Pennsylvania, as Dick Morris said, the Washington Post, which is a liberal rag, they're calling him out for not wanting to debate Oz for the senatorial seat. They're calling him out. And so now he's agreed to one debate. He's had 2 strokes, is what he said, and he's not very verbal anymore. And Oz is a doctor, and Oz has given him a lot of leeway with that, but you do have to have more than 5 minutes at a speech, and you have to be able to communicate if you're going to be a United States senator. It's a part of the issue here, isn't it? So yeah. You probably ought to debate him about 2 or 3 times at least, maybe more. But if they're going to settle on one debate, all right, well, whatever.
So they can't disqualify him for that?
Well, they can't disqualify him. That's the one thing about this country. We're talking about if Trump is in jail, how does he run for president? Well, he can. Because in the brilliance of the people that wrote the Constitution, all you have to be is 35 years old and natural born. And if you're that, you can run from anywhere. And we've had people actually run for president while they were in jail. There was a socialist running for president while he was in jail.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, okay. That's a good thing, though. I mean, because now Trump, that's the way they avoided eliminating people via arresting them because they're competition, which is basically what's going on right now.
I see. They
can do that right now, and they're doing it out of fear. Dick Morris and I both agree on that. They're both they're all doing this because of the fear that they're not going to beat. They're not going to beat Donald Trump in any way of shape or form if they don't ruin him first. They don't ruin his reputation. Well, here's a guy that still draws 60, 70, 80,000 people to rallies. That's an indication, I would say, that he's got a lot of strength behind him and a lot of support.
But Biden's doing great. He draws tens of people.
Tens of people. Yeah, can't even break 100. Yeah, I mean, they showed background. They got, 30 people close up to him, like there's a big rally behind him. And then they showed the side picture. There's maybe 30 more people. What did he have, about 60 to 80 people maybe at the most?
So let's put this in perspective.
Maybe that was counting the camera people there.
When Yadier Molina and Adam Wainwright broke the record on Wednesday night for the most career starts for a pitcher and a catcher together.
Yeah.
All-time record, 325 starts.
Right.
They had 47 some odd thousand at Busch Stadium.
Right.
And Trump is still drawing more than that.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly.
Just saying.
And it's giving basically the same speech. So, oh my goodness, well, she's early. Well, let's do this. Okay? And we got a picture all picked out for her. Let's give her a little song. Are the champions, my friend. Fighting to the end. We are the champions. We are the champions. All right. Ladies, and I was so happy that you got on that I refused to look at my prep here. Radio podcast star of her life. She's a life-loved author and Grammy-nominated singer, Liberty. This is crazy. Well, who the hell? I'm all mixed up here.
I don't know who wrote your promo.
I don't know. I wrote it. Wait, no, my producer did it.
Do not blame that on me. I had nothing to do with it.
All right.
All right. In the word of President Trump, you're fired.
Yeah. Well, okay. He'll forget tomorrow. I'll be back. First to tackle intricacies of faith, life, and politics. You're doing a little better. Please welcome all the way from Georgia. Monica Matthews. Okay, did I make it for there?
Yeah, you did good.
All right,
you did great.
thanks.
Thank you. You recovered nicely.
I was a little shy and a little bit mixed up, but that's all right. So thanks to Elad Hakim, by the way, for you being here. And I also have to name Rick Henderson, who is another producer of the show, because if I don't, he might kill me. And Elad Hakim for putting us together. Listen to your interview with Congresswoman. You say Congresswoman or Congressman?
I say either because I'm not offended. I don't think they are either. But Congresswoman Lauren Boebert. Yes.
Okay, Lauren Boebert, which is interesting because she follows me on Twitter as well, and she's liked some of my stuff. So tell us some of the other patriots you chat with.
Oh my goodness, the list is long. I don't even know where to begin. I have to be honest with you. On my show, over the past, my radio program when I was on terrestrial, I had everyone from Dan Cathy, governors, presidents of organizations. Forgive my Pomeranian if you hear her in the background. She's a little annoying this morning. So I've had, oh my gosh, Mark Meadows has been on my show. Mm-hmm. Yep. You name it. People from the Trump administration, people who are currently part of the former Trump administration, congresswomen, congressmen, people running for office. But I've also pivoted to a little bit more of the faith component because that's what people are really thirsting for these days, because I think they're finally recognizing that placing our hope in politicians is quite futile.
Yeah. So by faith, you mean religious and.
Correct.
Right.
So I happen to be Christian, okay,
Yes.
but and I don't condemn people who aren't. But I'm an ordained minister, so obviously I believe our nation was founded on Judeo-Christian principles. I see your flags there. Amen to all of that. So I like to remind people that it was with those principles this country was founded. It's with those principles that our most sacred documents were founded. And I believe they were predicated upon the author of life. And liberty, right? And justice for all. And equality. And so those are basic tenets of Judaism, of Christianity, and really of our constitutional republic.
So besides the child and women trafficking at the border, let's talk about the outlandish things being taught to our kids about sex in our schools.
Sure. So I have on my show quite a bit. You may consider her if you haven't already, but she's a woman who goes by Gabs. Gabs is leading the charge across the country, bringing awareness and attention, as well as the folks over at America First Legal with Stephen Miller. Ian Pryor is leading the charge on that, as well as others. Love Christopher Rufo, many others who are bringing awareness to it, but the awareness isn't enough, right? And so you're seeing parents step out in faith, really, and at their own risk of becoming target numero, 50 million, or rather 91 million in American citizens who care about their children, to step up and step forward. And they're now starting to engage in lawfare. Which is where Stephen Miller and others step in. I know Harmeet Dillon and Ron Coleman and those guys over there are also challenging cases of this nature. So it's very important for people not to be afraid. Child Protective Services are now getting involved. California's just passed a law that says that if you do not allow your child to investigate their transgender propensities, that you can have your child removed from your home. I would personally challenge that, obviously, but if not, move. That sounds a little bombastic to some, but why would you sit under that?
Move your child out of the school, or move your whole.
Take your child from you.
Yeah.
We're talking about anything between medical kidnapping to, and I'm not using hyperbole. I have friends who have served this country, who I, along with my colleague Stu Peters, thankfully was able to help, and their state senator in Texas was able to help remedy the situation. But you're talking about a decorated veteran who ultimately came up against CPS due to a faulty test after his wife delivered. And they were medically kidnapping their infant, their newborn. It's out of control. It is insane. I would argue that people are being targeted based on their sociopolitical leanings. So, as well as faith, obviously, we see that ethnically people are being targeted. So, yes, if you're going to stand for your child, like Gabs has been all over the country, now Antifa has been funded and deployed to fight against these women. And I would like to I would love to applaud the feminists, believe it or not, and I am definitely nobody's friend of feminism in today's respect for feminism, but I'd love to applaud them for standing for our children, as well as the LGB. Now they have dropped the T community. I think they've jumped straight to Q, but they are standing for our children, and it is about time. So yes, you are watching parents targeted across the country while their children they're being indoctrinated at school, and they're being told not to tell your parents this is a safe space and you can be whoever you want to be when you're in our classrooms. It's really nefarious and sick stuff.
Yeah, well, Monica, what about all the training that goes on and all the people that have had operations to become as children transgender, for example, where they're actually doing operations on them?
To me, that should be criminal, and any physician engaged. So here's what's happened. It's turned into yet another industrial complex, right? So you've got the school lying about it, the school psychologist swearing to it, and the physicians actually carrying it out. In the meantime, you have parents who have zero underpinning of reality and or faith, which is why I lean heavily upon that, and science. For the love of God, it's like, what happened to science? What happened to the prefrontal cortex not being completely formed until someone's 25 years of age? How is it that all of a sudden someone is self-actualized at 3? I'm 51. I'm still learning about myself. I'm menopausal. I'm going through a lot of changes. So I'm super glad that no one's like, hey, why don't you try being a dude and cutting off your breasts and ripping out your ovaries and your womb and your cervix and all of that. And then maybe you'll feel a little bit better in your skin as you're transitioning in life. And it's like, hold on.
Exactly.
What crazy raft did everybody float over here on? Like, I don't understand it. But it is an industrial complex, and
it's about money. It's about money. It's
Absolutely.
about they raised money for a lot of years to offset the gay marriage deal. They got that done, and then they were looking for something else to do. It's as simple as that. And then they took up the LBG
minus the T,
Q, whatever. And excuse me if I don't remember all that, but you're very good at that. So
I deal with it regularly.
Yes, I bet you do. I bet you do. Anyways, let's jump to another issue. You're in Georgia. Let us know. There's some important elections going on there, as we know. What's going on there with the races? You've got Kemp versus Abrams, who still thinks she's governor, by the way, doesn't she?
She does.
Warnick versus Herschel. And you got the cases, the Dominion machines are still in use.
Yes.
What's going on in your...
Okay, so full disclosure, I have, since 2020, completely backed away from Georgia politics. I no longer have faith in our system. Me personally, I no longer, and this goes on a national level. I'm in no way, shape, or form advocating for people not to show up and vote. That is not what I'm saying. This is for me personally. I have been heavily involved in state politics, and what I saw happen in 2020, along with the affidavits, my own sources, lack of law enforcement, everything from the executive branch down. I have been one to really upset the GOP here, not to be confused with our chair, David Schaefer. I actually consider David a dear friend, and he's done a lot to ensure that election integrity is front and center, including but not limited to contending with 2020. But I grieved most of 2021 because I had a lot of personal friendships. I was very invested in people who held positions who I thought were in favor of law. I thought they were sincere Republicans, and I considered them friends. And I feel differently now. So as far as the races go, so I don't really involve myself in it, to be honest with you. In Dominion, this whole thing has turned into such a crap show. Where it's just false accusation after false accusation. It's complete and utter lawfare. I mean, across the board. But what you're seeing is that the evidence that has come forth, nothing is being acted upon. And so when you start to talk about these things, you put yourself, in jeopardy because we are living in a lawless state of affairs right now. So I'm very aware of what's happened in my state. Our Secretary of State is as well. He did actually admit that Fulton County is out of control.
Yeah.
And we've known that.
Rostenberger, is that his name?
It's Raffensperger.
Raffensperger, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And he's keenly aware and came out and publicly stated that Fulton needs an overhaul. Right before Fulton told David Perdue to go pound sand and stay the F out of Fulton County, direct quote from their chairman. So it's not Board of Elections, but County Commission. So it's been a crap show here since I've been on terrestrial. I drew attention to it constantly during mayoral races coming out of Fulton County. People made fun of me. They called me a racist, ran me off the air, tried to run me out of town. It has been a mess. And so when I saw 2020 happen, I used to tell my audience, okay, you guys go ahead and laugh because you live in the suburbs and you live in rural Georgia and you think Fulton County's not going to have an effect on you. But mark my words, there will come an election when all crap rolls downhill and you're going to see Fulton County crap the bed in such a way that it's going to affect the rest of the state. And here we are.
Yeah.
Right. And
well,
so, yeah.
But well, let's change subjects because I guess you're very mad at it. I don't understand exactly why you're not fighting back. You're just not engaged there anymore. I mean, it is your state, and this is what you do.
Well, plus I am preparing for a move. So also there are people who are still fighting back, but I think in order to be here's the deal. My audience needs me for other purposes other than to keep beating the same dead horse. Mm-hmm. So people walk by it, they beat it, they spit on it, they kick it, and they go, oh, look, we still have election issues and nothing's been done. Well, yeah, we know that. And until something changes from the top down, until things change from the bottom up, and you do have people engaged, but Dave, you still have people on the GOP side of things saying, move on.
I know that. And I'm not moving on because there's more. I mean, the evidence that you mentioned, sure, maybe right after the election, maybe for a while, you couldn't prove anything. You had all these affidavits, thousands of affidavits of people willing to go to jail based on testifying the cheating that they saw. Okay, that was the only evidence. But now we've got tons of evidence. We got the FBI shutting down Hunter Biden's laptop. 50 intel agents signing off on that as a Russia hoax. Really? Yes. So, I mean, there's huge amounts of... That's all you need, basically. Bill Barr saying the president ought to go to jail, President Trump. And he was the head of the FBI. He was the top guy in the FBI when the Hunter Biden issue came out. And December 1st of 2020, right after the election, not even a month after the election, he is saying there was no cheating in the election enough to make a difference. Okay? Yep. He's full of it.
What does that tell you?
That he's a lying SOB.
It should tell you that, not only that, but it should fundamentally tell people who don't listen. If you don't believe your elections have been federalized, I don't know what else to tell you. And unless your states collectively in the executive offices of your states, including but not limited to your boards of elections, your county commissions, I'm talking a concerted effort on a state level, your legislatures, your governors, your AGs, your lieutenant governors, everyone has to come together, law enforcement, and fight that system. But that's not happening. And so that tells you that there's something much bigger and broader. It goes beyond our borders. And I think any discerning individual knows that. And so for that reason, I'm just choosing not to walk by and continue to kick the dead horse. There are people who are working in that realm and they have engaged in lawfare. I'm not an attorney. I'm one person with one microphone. And thankfully, I've been entrusted with hundreds of thousands of millions of followers that I'm trying to keep from going to violence. And I don't know if you've noticed that in your own audience, but I pay attention to rhetoric online.
Yeah, I do too.
Right? And so I'm very concerned that it's going to take one final straw for the Americans who have been holding back and holding back and holding back. And so I'm trying to direct people's attention to what they can do on their state levels, looking at people like Eric Schmidt of Missouri. That is right. I mean, hell of a job there as far as I'm concerned. That's what you need to be demanding your AGs are doing. That's how you contend with a federalized system. You take the power of your states back.
Now, what did you think of the moves that Governors Abbott and DeSantis did with the illegal aliens? One of them going to the backyard of Kamala our vice president, and the
Literally.
other one going to where are they? I mean, wow, this is like going to Disney World for.
Right.
I mean, have you ever been to Martha's Vineyard?
I have not.
Neither have I. I don't know why not.
Like,
and
hey,
my
can I
wife
hitch a
here
ride?
says she's never been there. I don't think. Have you ever been there?
No.
No. So, and they're looking around like this is great. Holy cow! and the Biden administration is accusing of DeSantis of kidnapping them. Come on.
Right.
What do I have to do? Do I have to cross the border and sneak over again for you to drop me off in Martha Vineyard?
That's right.
You know.
So there's kind of I'm kind of a rounded person whenever it comes to things. I'm not one dimensional on how I feel or think about something. And so with this, understanding that I am 1,000% against illegal immigration. I come from a family of legal immigrants. So I'm all about immigration. More importantly than legal immigration, I'm all about assimilation, right? People stop with, oh, I'm all for legal immigration. I'm like, yeah, but what about assimilation? Because that's how we've gotten into the position we're in now. And so there's a component to me that I feel horrible for the person who has come through their children being raped, half their children being murdered. They're here. I know they didn't have to make that choice, but they did. And so they've come to this country and now they're being shuffled around without speaking English as political pawns. So I don't like that. From a humanitarian standpoint, I don't like that. I don't agree with that. However, here's my beef with Abbott, right? You could have done so much more than shuffle illegal immigrants around the country as a matter of a political statement. What it does is it rallies the base, it galvanizes conservatives for sure, and we kind of feel like justice is being done. But you have to ask yourself, how did those immigrants get to Florida to begin with? Because they likely weren't on rafts, right?
Right.
And if they're Cubans, you want them to stay,
right?
Because Cubans understand communism and they don't want any part of communism. So they're part of your base, right? But otherwise, how did they get to Florida and now you're shipping them out across the country? I think I laughed and I said, okay, go Ron, go Governor DeSantis, go Governor D. Okay. So the humanitarian side of me says, sorry that you guys are stuck in the middle of this. And I really hope that you can, that we do process you either back to your country or if the GOP was smart, you'd have Scott Pressler sitting there at Martha's Vineyard with a table to enroll people to vote, because that's what the Democrats are doing.
Yeah.
So why aren't we poaching from the illegal immigrants coming here who are already set to vote for Democrats, right? And so my whole contingency has been show up at the border with a table, enroll people to vote, because that's what the Dems are doing anyway. And since it's all kabuki theater and lawlessness, then go for it. But I think it's clearly we know the hypocrisy of the left, right? The people of Martha's Vineyard are, oh, woe is me. What are we going to do? We're not letting them into our homes. We're going to give them a shelter. And now they've shipped them off to some FEMA, essentially some government, facility. But
is it on the island?
Yeah. They're on the island.
Cool.
They're still there, but they're in a facility.
They're not staying at Obama's house. It's big enough. Come on, man.
It's so laughable. But here's my other point to that, and it just went whoop right out the window. Oh, for the government to declare that this is some kind of kidnapping is really laughable, because I've had people from President Trump's administration who worked directly with immigration and the border and high-ranking people within his administration who have been on my show, who have alerted my audience to the fact that HHS is single-handedly part of the trafficking pipeline from the border through this country to MS-13, basically encampments that are considered NGOs by all accounts that are nestled and hunkered down in Virginia. So it's laughable to me that anyone in the federal government would consider this kidnapping or otherwise trafficking humans, when our federal government appears allegedly seems to be in the business of trafficking human beings.
Now, give me some predictions on elections, because you're brilliant. I can tell that. and I know you know everything that's going to happen in the future. Is Trump?
Let me consult my coffee.
Yeah, go ahead. Take a little sip
right,
there. That'll juice you up right there.
I'm Greek. They actually read their coffee cups for stuff like this. But go ahead.
Oh, you're Greek, are you? That's interesting. DeSantis, are you German too?
I am German. My mother is first generation.
My wife is German.
Awesome.
Yeah, how about that? Jewish guy married to a German woman. I sleep with one eye open. Anyways, elections. Who's running? Is there going to be a primary? Is Trump going to get primaried?
Well, I think there's going to be a lot that happens between now and then. So I have to preface this with this. People get upset when you start looking to 2024 because they're still dealing with all hope is rested upon 2022, like now in the midterms. So they want to focus on that, which I understand. I think these midterms are going to tell you a lot about the stability of our national election grid. So pay attention to that. Because by all accounts, there should be a red tsunami. So if people start accusing the Republicans of not showing up, I would refute that because that is not the plan of Republicans on any level. The plan is to show up en masse. And we're talking, bunk with the absentee ballots. They're actually going to show up. Now, in the state of Georgia, ironically enough, or interestingly enough, a lady by the name of Debbie Dooley just sent out, she was like the Tea Party queen here in the state of Georgia. And she still has a massive mobilization ability. And she sent out a newsletter just yesterday saying that she is encouraging voters of Georgia to receive their absentee ballot and actually take it to the facility because they're processed differently than your ballot right there on that day through Dominion. And she believes and alleges that on those ballots, they have what you see that you think you have voted can be altered via QR code within the system. Whether or not that's true, I don't know. But she is encouraging voters of Georgia to actually request the absentee ballot and deliver it yourself. So there's that. And I don't know what the heck's going on in other states. So I think it's going to be the Wild West. As far as my predictions, I have very reliable sources who have confirmed that Governor Ron DeSantis is in fact going to run for president in 2024. Now, I had to eat a lot of crow once that was said to me because I have not predicted that he would be on that ticket at all. I didn't think that was, I definitely saw where it would split the party. And I feel as though President Trump is going to run. People don't understand that even if he is indicted, he can still run.
Yeah.
We see that he's been indicted, if you will, through two failed attempts to impeach him.
Yep.
They impeached him, but they never that was never adjudicated to its fullest by the Senate.
Right.
So with that, he's still able to run again. I think it's going to be that's why they're going after his against their political dissidents and his allies, because they want to scare the living crap out of people from actually aligning with him, from donating to his campaign, from supporting, right? So I think it's going to be interesting to see. You and I talked about this briefly yesterday.
Well, I talked about it with my last guest, Dick Morris, who knows a lot about this stuff. And
what did he say?
He said DeSantis have to be crazy to run because it's 55 Trump right now to 15 him. He says that's not a smart move on his part. That was Dick Morris saying that.
And Dick's a great guy, and he's certainly in the know. But that's what concerns me is that what does DeSantis know?
He said DeSantis is too smart to do that.
I hear you, but there are people who are, and maybe Dick is holding his cards close to his chest. I don't know, but my sources have said he is for sure going to be on the ballot. And
now, as vice president, I could see Trump picking him as vice president.
A lot of people
because I think that would be absolutely terrific, because that's 4 years of training for him to become president in 28.
Sure.
And he's just right at the right time. I think that would be a good move. Don't you?
I do too.
Yeah.
I think that by all accounts, I told you this yesterday, I don't pay attention to polling. I just don't. As a political consultant, I've never paid attention to polls. I put more faith in straw polls than I do the things that people are putting out corporately. But if you're at your local, meeting and someone's performed a straw poll and it's right there in front of you, I would go with that over national polls. I don't trust them. That in and of itself is an industry, and what it does is it's almost like stock predictions, and so it influences the behavior of the voter. And that's the whole point of it, is it psychs people out. It's part of the psychological warfare that we contend with every election cycle. Mm-hmm. So my hope and my prayer for President Trump is that justice actually prevails with everything coming against him. It has in the past. I think a lot of Americans, in my audience at least, are still very supportive of President Trump, but they're also tired. And they feel like, how are we supposed to go through another 4 years of that?
But I think justice has to be done, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I think he was cheated the last time, and I think it was a huge cheat. Who believes Joe Biden, based on what they've seen before and after, got 81 million votes, 15 million more than Barack Obama?
20 million more, I think, yeah.
I mean, who believes that? Again, he couldn't draw 10 people.
Right.
To a speech.
And
still can't. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Monica, where can people find you and buy your book?
Oh, sure. So my book, my podcast, my CDs, my shirts, cups, mugs, all that stuff at monicamatthews.com. Like you, I'm on Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Stitcher, all of that. I do have a live space every Thursday evening on Twitter where I have guests. Yesterday I had Doreen Virtue on, who is like this mammoth guru in the occult. And now she's switched over to the actual light. So she was on yesterday, and we go for broke. We talk for 2 hours, bring up talk, speakers and all that. So yeah, we have a good time. So it's monicamatthews.com, and launching my new ministry, Thirst. I'm very excited about that. And just trying to prepare my audience, Dave, excuse me, for the days ahead, because I really do believe they're going to be a little bit darker than we've anticipated.
Well, I have an official pastor to the Dave Weinbaum Show and an official rabbi. Happens to be J.P. Maxwell, my producer's mother.
Okay.
Nice. And she introduced me to the rabbi I've been interviewing for 12 years, Rabbi Moshe Rothchild out of Ephrat, Israel.
Wonderful.
And so I get a lot of Mideast stuff, but I'd like you to come back to the show. Would you be willing to do that?
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. Well, I enjoyed talking to you. You could be what are you, a minister? Seriously.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
well, you can be the official minister to the Dave Weinbaum Show. How hard was that? One little interview, and you're the official minister. Of course, you don't get anything for it other than publicity. So I have a news alert.
You can create a T-shirt.
I have a news alert, huh?
You can create a T-shirt with my name on it. Official minister.
That's not a bad idea. See, now you can give me some tips on that. There's a news alert out there. Lost Dalmatians spotted. News alert.
Very good.
Lost
Very good.
Dalmatians spotted. I was wondering if anyone would get that.
And I have blonde hair, and it took me under 1 second.
Yeah, well, my wife knew, I'm sure. Right, honey? No, I don't think so. All right. Well, listen, I had a lot of fun doing this. I hope you did. And you have a great weekend.
Thank you, sir.
And
you as well.
I thought it was a great conversation. Thank you.
And hi to your wife. And hi to your producers.
Nice meeting you, Monica.
Yeah.
Thank you.
God bless you guys.
Bye, Monica.
Bye-bye.
All right. Well, other than me screwing up the intro.
Boy, did you.
I don't know why.
Again?
I don't know
and
why.
Again and again.
I don't know why I couldn't put it together there.
Then you tried to blame it on me.
That's right.
Well, of course.
That's right.
Of course.
The only thing I could have done was shut your mic off.
That could have helped.
Okay, that would have helped.
That could have helped.
That would have
Hold on, we're restarting here.
Do you have any more messages?
No.
Because we got Chris coming out in 3 minutes, so...
No, but there is a link in the comments to where you can buy Monica's book.
Okay. All right. And I don't know, did she actually name her book? I think she was afraid to name it because it has Jesus' name in it.
Yeah, it says when Jesus is not enough. So, yep.
Hey, 99% of my listeners, I believe, are Christians. Okay?
I'd agree.
And throw in a smattering of Jewish people and Probably Muslims. I'm pretty sure I got some Muslims too. But she's excellent, I thought, as an interview, and I'd like to have her back. And I don't agree with everything, okay, that she says. And speaking of good interviews, guess what?
That's true of most of your guests.
Guess what?
You don't agree with everything, and your wife.
True.
It's true of me too.
Yeah, and I'm about to disagree with my next guest, which is always fun to do because he likes to argue, and there's nothing better than arguing with an Italian.
Well, I think you might be in trouble.
Huh?
I think you might be in trouble. I didn't hear you mention his book to Dick Morris.
Oh, I didn't mention my book to Dick Morris. Look at him. He's pointing his finger at me.
His book.
Is there a gun in that hand? I don't know.
Chris's book.
This is not good.
Hi, Chris.
All right.
Hi.
I think I'm going to play a song for him. If not, if he's unarmed. I don't think this thing would work through a computer, would it? No. I don't think so. All right, hit it.
We have a screensaver, so we're okay.
Yeah, hit his song. This man lived in Wyoming until rumors of him and Liz Cheney got out of hand. And he moved immediately to Missouri just to irritate me. He's an author, a lifelong conservative. Please welcome, all the way from Missouri, somewhere in Missouri, won't tell me, Chris Adamo. Man, I'm chopping things up, and I think I want to play something for you first. Chris, hit it. Those who pine for lost love bark up wrong tree. Forget about her. So, Chris, are you still pining for Liz?
This is really unfair. I tell you what, if you go back and read my commentaries, it all appeared on Weinbaum.net.
You can spill it out. You can
see where I really went after Liz Cheney, and
I know.
She's really, it's great. It's great watching her right now. Almost as bad as Hillary Clinton, where she's just desperately flailing for some sort of relevance. The people of Wyoming flatly rejected her.
And you did too, didn't you?
And
you moved out of the state.
You're literally trying to spread rumors, aren't you? Look at you. I can tell you that the Republican Party in Wyoming hated me more than they ever hated the Democrats. Me and people like me, because as grassroots conservatives, we weren't ready to accept rhino platitudes.
Yeah.
And so they did not like us.
So you don't like my sense of humor? You know, I'm pulling your leg.
I'm glad you qualified it as a sense of humor.
Well, yeah, I mean, come on, man. If I can't rip into an Italian, who can I rip into?
I warned Dave. I said Chris won't come back on the show after that.
I come back on the show. Give me a break. He loves this. I know he loves being on this show. I can tell. And I love being
on the show, but boy, when you try and sully my reputation saying I had a thing for Liz Cheney, I'm going to tell you something. My wife is a really good shot. She took down a deer at 220 yards with a 30-06 a few years back. So you make remarks about Liz Cheney, and
I thought you already had Guido on my trail, and
we don't need Guido. I don't have to hire out. We've got it in the family.
Yeah,
here.
See, there you go. See, you got to be careful when you're talking to an Italian. But what are you going to do? You Sicilian too?
It's absolutely Sicilian. Yeah, my grandparents were from Palermo, Sicily.
Really? So how come you're so white? You are very white.
My grandparents on my mother's side were from Germany, so it's little Mussolini, little Hitler in there. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I love it. Oh, that's great.
Say that before.
That's a great thing to tell a Jew, by the way. Yeah, who's picking on who now? Anyways, Ford is closing out making real cars to make them in Mexico. They're going to make fancy cars in Mexico. Who will use fossil fuel to make and use electricity to charge them?
It's that whole thing is such a total farce. I tell you what, I wrote down a list of things, and that wasn't on the list. I'll be honest with you, it fits perfectly. I wrote down a list of things to talk about here today.
Yeah,
and if you were to put an umbrella heading over the whole thing, it's just this simple: leftists are liars and hypocrites. I'm sorry, that sounds divisive. It's just the fact. These people will say anything in the moment to try and dominate the conversation, dominate the discourse, and then they'll totally contradict themselves a minute later if that's what it takes. Just give you one quick example here.
Specifically, what are they lying about this time?
Okay, Kamala Harris. By the way, you got to love this. Greg Abbott, governor of Texas, sent busloads of illegals to Kamala Harris's home in D.C.
Yeah.
Couple of days ago, she's talking about, well, the border is secure. Okay. I watched the internet blow up in the last 24 hours over Ron DeSantis sending them to Martha's Vineyard. And the residents of Martha's Vineyard are now admitting that they really don't like this. If there was some way we could just make leftists to be the sole recipients of the consequences of their sick, twisted agenda, that ideology would disappear. It would just vanish into thin air. The fact that they actually can make the innocent suffer along with them and pay the bills, name your subject, we can go into that. That's the only reason leftist ideology survives, because the minute they become the ones that are reaping the consequences, all of a sudden they don't like it.
Oh, and they're showing it right now. I don't see the press conference where Obama and his wife Michelle is up there saying, "Welcome to Martha's Vineyard. Let me give you a tour of the house."
All of you people that you bitter clingers, you don't like people that don't look like you.
Yeah, right. And it's 80% white, that island. So it's like, what's he talking about? That makes him into a racist pig, in my opinion.
Makes him into a hypocrite, which also, by the way, all of those descriptors you just gave. That makes him a leftist.
Yeah, okay. All right. Racist pig is a lot better description, in my opinion. Dems always go too far, while Republicans never go far enough. What do you think of that?
Okay, let's talk about Lisa Murkowski.
Yes.
The so-called Republican from Alaska. You talk about a rigged system getting her in. She has made the statement that it is just wrong. It's for us to question the validity of the FBI raid on Mar-a-Lago. It's just wrong to question the FBI because, we should just start by assuming that these are good guys. When it's wrong to question something, what you have is a public figure saying you shouldn't have freedom of speech.
Exactly.
Okay, and she calls herself a Republican. Now, number one, we need to question the FBI raid on Mar-a-Lago because it was obviously politically done. Number two, and when I say question, I mean we need to refute it. And the same thing we need to do is refute the so-called Republican standing of Lisa Murkowski. She is a leftist Democrat enabler, and that's all she is.
Now, who was running against her? I know she's up, isn't she? Is that Sarah Palin?
That I didn't look at that.
No. Now Sarah Palin, I thought she was running against her, but lost in a primary.
Right. Well, Sarah Palin was running against a couple of other people in the primary, and so they divided the vote. This is what Liz Cheney was hoping for in Wyoming. It didn't work out that way for her, but So the one of the moderates won up in Alaska, which is a real crying shame because again, you go into the election now in November, and you've got a choice between a rhino and a Democrat, and a lot of the Republicans, especially after what we've seen in the last 3 or 4 years, how they undermine Trump and everything. There's a lot of Republicans at the grassroots that are just saying, "Stuff it! I am not doing this anymore." I'll give you an example here in New Hampshire. The guy running for Senate, his name is Baldock, and right after he wins the primary, he comes out and says, "Oh, the 2020 election was not stolen. Joe Biden is legitimate."
Yeah.
Okay, and I'll tell you what. Excuse me. If I was in New Hampshire, I would be looking for a third-party candidate to vote for. I am not going to put one more of these people in Washington to claim they represent me and they had my vote and support so that they can advance the leftist agenda.
You're absolutely right. And it's a long haul, I'll tell you that. So why is it a crime to protest an election these days when the Democrats are still protesting the 2016 election. Stacey Abrams in Georgia thinks she's the governor of Georgia since 2016.
Yeah, and again, it's free speech. Whether or not the Democrats had ever protested any honest election in history, it's free speech, and it's our civic duty to protest the dishonest ones whenever they happen. And 2020 was a dishonest election, and I'd love to get one of these little 1-minute videos of showing all the things that we saw happen. Excuse me, I'm talking too loud. We've forgotten a lot of the things that happened because they hit us so fast with so many things on Election Day, so much rampant cheating, that we've forgotten. We need to put down a concise list of here's what they did once the counting stopped. Here's what happened in Michigan. Here's what happened in Pennsylvania. Here's what happened in Arizona, Wisconsin. Go down the list. And here's what happened to the counts in all of those states. They magically reversed from massive Trump leads to these razor-thin Biden majorities.
Overnight.
And at that point, it's declared over.
Overnight. Yeah.
Overnight. All on the same exact timetable.
And don't ever forget Hillary's warning to Joe Biden. Don't ever concede this election. Don't ever concede it. Well, that in itself is an overthrow of an election, but we know what happened afterwards. This election took a long time, didn't it? Took a long time for the votes to be counted in and out, and there were all sorts of deliveries between states of votes and things of this nature. Go ahead, JP.
There's vast criminality. But we've seen this pattern for years. Here's a simple question stating the obvious, though. How come it is that in any election where they demand a recount because the vote's within a certain percentage and by law they have to have a recount, how come in every single one of those elections, whenever they recount, the vote always starts shifting in the direction of the Democrat?
Well, you and I know that, but JP wants to say something here.
So your point about Hillary saying never concede is interesting because when I went to bed that night of the 2020 election, it seemed like it was 2016 all over again. Trump had overwhelmingly won until you woke up the next morning.
Even a bigger slaughter.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, the vote tally had completely changed overnight everywhere, just like that. Just like a switch got flipped. And so that point comes true.
Who believes Joe Biden got 81 million votes?
Right.
You'd have to be a complete idiot. How many votes did Barack Obama get at his best?
63, I think.
And he was popular. He was, he could draw a crowd. I'll say that much for the guy.
But look at the fact that Biden gets in front of the microphone and does what he does, and these people will look at you with a straight face and say, Biden's the legitimate president. Biden's actually running the country.
Yeah, I can't believe that they really believe it.
They don't. But again. Yeah. And you can hold up my book if you want, even though you wouldn't tell Dick Morris about it because you're ashamed of it. Leftists
now wait a minute.
Believe in any cause they claim to champion. They will tell any lie.
That's
it takes
really
to win
low.
The moment.
That's really
What's
low. I'm gonna tell Dick Morris about your book. Why don't you call Dick Morris?
I don't have access. I'm not a famous media person like yourself, Dave. I'm watching. By the way, for all the viewers, in case you think I'm picking on him too much, I'm watching this man growing in leaps and bounds among the public. And in all seriousness, this is what our side needs to be doing: speaking out, speaking the truth, and doing it without hesitation. Because we know the left is going to have a fit about it. So what? You have.
Who are you talking about?
The truth. I'm talking about you.
Oh.
Enjoy the compliment. Don't get embarrassed.
Okay, I didn't understand because you've never complimented me before.
Oh.
Yes, you have. Okay. I like you a lot. All right. All right. Anyways.
I've never complimented your jokes because I don't think I've ever heard one. But anyway.
Now you've heard. See, there you go. Right back into the. This is good, though. This is Italian Jewish humor, isn't it? We sort of have similar. We you know what? It's the same sea we came from, the Mediterranean, basically.
Well, actually, if we're going to get into real history, yeah.
Yeah, and there's a lot of commonality. There's even a lot of commonality between Jews and Arabs. We're basically the same race. In fact, there's been a lot of interaction amongst them.
Well,
good,
and
good or
again,
bad.
if we're going to get real serious about this, we go back to the book of Genesis, and it says God created man in his image, which means we're all one race, the human race. So yeah, the difference is, what do we believe, and what truth do we embrace? And that does make a huge separation between the different cultures of the world. You know, they talk about white nationalism like it's this evil thing, this Aryanite thing. No, it's not. And it's not white nationalism, it's American patriotism, and it has to do with our nation's Judeo-Christian principles on which it was founded.
And it has lots of colors backing that, not just whites. A lot of blacks back it. I mean, Trump made big inroads into the black community, and he would continue to do so should he run again in 24, I think.
And since we'll I hate to use what's her name's circle back, but since we'll circle back on this, the fact is that Trump did that as a conservative, not as a Republican, because of the Republican mainstream, the Republican establishment, their means of outreach to minorities is, well, we agree with the Democrats that you poor, hapless people need a handout, so we're going to give you a smaller handout than the Democrats give you, so vote for us.
Yeah.
And Trump didn't say that. He said, we're going to make the economy great. We're going to make America great for every American.
We're going to give you the American dream, is what he was saying.
And you people are fully capable of embracing
Absolutely.
it. And by golly, they did.
The Democrats are saying, you can't achieve this. You are not worthy. You are not capable of achieving this, so we're going to put you on the payroll.
And that, my friend, is the epitome of bigotry and contempt.
Exactly. So we agree on a lot of stuff. Evil, and we agree on the fact that you're very outspoken. You say what you think, even if it's very hurtful to me sometimes. Evil may have been done purposely to invoke and trigger violent reactions, and even civil war. As these, Biden's speech was just, it's like a dog whistle to Antifa. So you got to watch yourselves.
There is that. And if you remember last week when we talked about it, my initial response to it was they really stepped in it big time. Okay, it was a huge black eye to them. They were, I think, unprepared for the public backlash to it, just as you're describing there. But if you're watching them now, here's the Alinsky thing again. Now they're reinventing it. Okay, now little by little they're coming out. I mean, the morning after Biden's
how are they morphing this?
Okay, well, he initially that following morning said, "I didn't say those things. I didn't say that."
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
Okay, now little by little, it's starting to come out that actually, it was a good speech, and here's your history revision. Okay, America really embraced it and agreed with it. Okay, now again, it's like the election where in the initial aftermath, we all see something and we say this is garbage. Okay, but little by little, they start telling us, no, this is what you really saw. This is what you really said about it. And before long, our side, remember the election, within a week or two, we're using the term possible voting irregularities, and I always analogize that to the Titanic, a little bit of snow on the deck. And we're trying to soft pedal because that's what the left tells us to do. So now we're seeing them claim that America really agrees with Biden. And look, here's all the hate here and here's all the hate there.
Right.
And America wants to unify under Biden's unifying speech. Listen to the reports they're saying on it now. That's where it's actually going.
And they're using the 81 million people that voted for him, which is there's no way that happened. We know that. JP.
There's 75 to 100 million, maybe plus, of us Americans who won't ever forget what he had to say that day. I know I won't.
Yeah,
and it's inspired me to go even harder now.
And they are claiming that that they had no idea that this would piss so many people off. What was this supposed to do? Scare us off?
That was the plan: scare, intimidate, and embarrass.
Yeah, all right.
No, it made me more determined.
Well, they're following it up now by they're raiding Republicans all over the country. A lot of them around the D.C. area. They're raiding a bunch of the old Trump allies in D.C. and things like that. So I guess they're following it up with harassment, illegal harassment by the FBI, by the DOJ, and they're pushing us into some kind of a Soviet Marxist situation to where what are we supposed to do now? He's supposed to shut up?
Here's the question.
Yeah.
And JP just said that he's going to speak the truth, and that's that.
Yeah.
And there's 100 million of us. The question is, out of that 100 million of us, how many, when we realize, you know what, my friend that I was talking to, I have a friend of a friend who was one of the people raided by the FBI. Now I'm a little nervous. Maybe I shouldn't be quite so bold. Before long, they're not having to censor us. We're censoring ourselves.
Right. I understand what you're saying. And you think about it. And, you got a big mouth. I got a big mouth. And but some people are
that's
getting
what
worried.
They're counting on.
And they're counting on it. And that's what happened in the Soviet Union, didn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
And before long, okay, the FBI comes to my house and I'm going, I really don't want to spend, the rest of my life in a gulag somewhere. Maybe if I put out the word on that really bad guy, Dave, there, maybe they'll focus on him and not me. And before long, the plan is that we start backstabbing and undermining each other.
Well, Chris, you don't have to worry because I've already told them about you. I mean, they came last week, and I'm sorry, but, I don't think so. I can't see it happening.
This is the plan. This is how it works.
Which means you will be in jail maybe for the rest of your life, one of us or all of us or whatever. And, okay, you know what? Go ahead.
But look what Jeff Zink is facing with his son, and look what they're doing about it. That's what we need to do as well.
Jeff Zink.
He's fighting the fight.
His son had his house broken into because he and his father, Jeff Zink, running for Congress in Maricopa County in Arizona, ran the AZ audit, forensic audit, and his son is still under arrest for being in the Capitol that day. He never was. They have no evidence that he was. So they dropped it down to a 40-year penalty to a 22-year penalty if he just go along with it, or his father says he got a call if he drop out of the race.
And if he has to plead guilty and also do a plea deal where he can't talk about anything afterward either, and Jeff said no.
Yeah, and so
tell me something. Let's deal with that just for a second there. There's two things there that glare at us that this should be making. And I'm dead serious. I would get every connection you have at Newsmax and confront them. Why aren't you guys talking about this? Number one, that he drops out of the race. What does that tell you about their real motive? And number two, the can't talk about it. Okay. Both of those. Do those indicate a government that regards itself as legitimate? Okay, they demand we call it legitimate, but do they see themselves as legitimate if we can't talk about it?
Right.
Now
Good point.
Dick Morris has a show on Newsmax, and I made sure I asked him. I says, "You don't actually think that election was legitimate, do you?" He says, "Of course not." Okay, so there are guys who fight back. They're all scared of this lawsuit from Dominion. So is Fox, by the way. They're all
part of the intimidation.
They're all under. They're all having depositions now. I kind of like the fact that they have this lawsuit because I think once we get to the details and the
and they won't ever
recovery,
let it go there. The idea of the lawsuit is you're minding your own business one day, and now you have to go pay out.
To lawyers,
which was really a fine. It's a backdoor fine of how many thousands of dollars to hire lawyers.
Right.
That's what the lawsuit is all about.
Even though lawyers like Rudy Giuliani are asking for money now because he's getting the same kind of treatment.
Yeah.
All right.
It is again. It's that whole leftist strategy of intimidation. And right now, I'm using the expression that America is dying by 1,000 cuts. Okay, little things here, little things there, and what they are most afraid of. Oh, he's got my book up there. Thank you. We need to be fighting this battle because they wouldn't be so intent on telling us to be quiet if just us speaking out about it wasn't such a threat to them. Did you, by any chance, talk today about what's gone on at CNN lately?
No, I actually didn't. But this is allegedly they have this. A conservative running CNN. Is that true?
Well, I don't know if the guy's really conservative. We'll see over time because...
but they're firing people left and right.
Well, they're sort of. They've moved Don Lemon to the morning show. It's it's the old rearrange the deck chairs on the Titanic thing. They haven't really. The day that CNN comes out and says, "Look, we had these people over this period of time lying to you about A, B, C, D, and E here, and they weren't giving you the truth. And here's the truth on A, B, C, D, and E." The day that CNN does that, I might start having.
Well, you got the whole social media, the whole media crowd that did that. They all said the same damn things.
Yeah, but again, all it takes, the darkest room in the world, all it takes is one person to turn on that light.
I agree. Well, and then they get harassed by Dominion. They get harassed by the current government, the FBI, and
but you know what?
They're scared.
If you take those incidents of harassment and you accept them on the basis that they give them to you, you start apologizing, you've now validated it. However, if you take and look at Ron DeSantis as a great example, you take that harassment
and turn it
and you hold it up and say, look what they're doing to me, people, because I'm speaking the truth.
That's exactly what Trump does.
And that's,
and they hate him. They're still attacking him.
Trump.
But you know what? He's not giving in. And I think that's why he should be the next president of the United States. Some have mentioned, well, DeSantis is going to run against him. I don't see it. Dick Morris doesn't see it. My last guest does see that.
Now, who's your last guest? I admit I just got on right before.
Her name is Monica Matthews.
Oh, yeah, Monica. Okay.
Yeah, so that's the first time for her. Elad Hakim suggested her, and put her on, and put Elad off. And now you're on. So I don't know. I try to be as fair as possible. And and I know you haven't been here for a couple of weeks, and I mean, I got so.
No, you only did that after you were upset with me because all of my reporting on Liz Cheney, she lost, and so you were upset about that. So that's the reason you wouldn't talk to me for 2 weeks.
Yeah, we had an interesting elevator ride together. It didn't last very long, but man, woo!
In all seriousness, as you continue to expose these things, as you continue to gain prominence, you're going to have a higher and higher amount of pressure to bring people on. And what you've got to do is keep what you've been doing that's been successful, which is to bring on whatever it is that the people need to hear. So stay the course.
Well, and that's what I'm trying to measure it on. When there's a lot of legal issues, I want to get lawyers on this show. When there's Marxist things happening, like in your case coming on, when there's government situations that have been in the past that you're an expert on, I'd like you to be on. So, I try to measure it by that.
I thought you were going to say it a little differently. I thought you were going to say that whenever there's illegal things going on, you want to get Italians on the program. But
you know what I got to say to that? Forget about it. Just forget about it, will you? Come on, man. Man.
You can get Dick Morris to interview me on Newsmax. I can tell everybody.
Why don't you call him up? What is it?
If you're really good, I trust you. If you're really good.
Okay, I'll write him. I'll send him something. I sent him something about. I told him something about Mark McCluskey. Mark McCluskey ought to be considered for Trump's attorney general. Should he become president again in 2024? And here's a guy that was understands what it's like to have people come after him. 350 people breaking a gate down and threatening to kill him, rape and kill his wife, and burn down his house. 350, and the cops wouldn't come out.
Right.
And he had
the left is going to focus on the fact that he and his wife held up guns.
Yeah.
And here's a guy who understands the real meaning of the Second Amendment.
This is the kind of guy you want to be your AG. Okay, I would think. And I told Dick Morris that. So, all right, the next time I talk to Dick Morris, I'll say something to him. I hope my wife here, Lisa, this is your job now to remind me.
Oh no.
Oh, see, there you go. I can't.
I'll send you an email, Lisa.
Yeah, Thank you. Yeah. Put up his book again.
There we go. That always makes me happy.
All right.
Hey,
so
America, you need this book so you can
yes, you do.
Fight the left.
We can't talk past 11, and it's almost 11. Okay.
Okay.
Other than DaveWeinbaum.net, where can people find you and buy your book? Rules for Defeating Radicals.
My book's available at Amazon. And you just do a search on Rules for Defeating Radicals.
Nope, the link to it for the Amazon buy is already in the comments. You can just click it, takes you right to it.
There you go.
Excellent. And I'm telling you, people, you want to fight an effective fight, this is the book that's needed. I'm just being honest.
I agree. It's a famous book. It's one of the best books ever written on Marxism, okay?
On how to defeat
the
Marxists.
By the way, Lisa said, you never lift a finger. So I did. Now I'm in trouble.
No.
Yeah, don't contain yourself.
I had nothing to do with this.
Contain yourself.
Had nothing to do with this.
I see you trying to hold back the laughter.
Oh, I'm just enjoying Lisa's response.
Yeah, all right. Well,
a very loving, patient.
She's a little sensitive. What can I tell you? All right. You have a great weekend, and
you guys keep up the great work.
All right, you
God
too.
Bless.
All right, thanks a lot.
Bye-bye.
Stay in touch. Bye. All right. Okay, we're down to 2 minutes. We're down to almost a minute. Man, this show went fast, didn't it? Mm-hmm. Okay, I happen to like to, even that I bungled a few things. That's no big deal, is it? I mean, Poole strikes out a lot. Yeah, I love to compare myself to.
Yeah,
I got some great golfers I'm playing golf with. Bob Willis has been on the show, and Jack Boone. I played with them on Wednesday. I played with them, and you know what? They're giving me tips. They're really good golfers, and they're giving me tips, and that's really nice of them. And I really respect that, and they're accepting me more and more playing, even though I'm not great, obviously. But I'm working on this game. I'm in my 70s, but I'm working on it. All right, listen, you guys have a great weekend, and keep fighting back. Don't take this crap. We got a country to save. I'll be back with another.